I like Ryan in this as well, like how his
Yes.
backstory is like, well, obviously, like her dad's done a runner, like he's like, which he kind of is right, like he has, like he's fucked off to another universe to be with their mum, but
Yeah.
but
Thank God it went
it's the
another
it's
one.
the fact that plays off of his own character backstory of like how his dad let him down, like let him and his nan down, so it makes sense.
I really want to see that episode of Jerry Springer with just the little chevron at the end going, my dad fucked off to be with my dead mum in a parallel universe.
That turned out to be a frog.
Turned out to be a frog.
My dad left me blind and alone in my house to be with a frog who could potentially be my mum.
Well, we've actually got the frog here, right?
We've got the frog here with us today! And he just hops in.
Get the frog! Get the frog!
The frog!
Series 12. We're just gonna get back into it. I'll fucking edit around this.
There's so much to discuss. We're already 2 hours in. Jesus Christ. We need to get on. We need to get on.
Check what I've written in the private chat, guys.
I was 2 hours late and you haven't finished Series 11.
We spent half
We have a
an
lot to
hour
talk about.
and we were on Ghost Monument, but that's by the by.
Yeah.
So Series 12, I think like I was excited for it because I was like, right, cool, we've had the first
Massively.
series, let's get the next series out, and then it was like, oh, we can't do that until 2020, which was immediately like losing the momentum. But we have returning villains, we have an arc which will divide many people.
Yeah, the masses.
But let's start off with Skyfall Part 1.
Spyfall, by the way.
Skyfall Part 1. Skyfall Part 1. It's
Not featuring MI6 or 007.
Can I just say, how lazy was it of Chibnall? I genuinely think he chose Spyfall Part 1 to air on New Year's Day because he couldn't be bothered to do a special.
Yep.
Probably.
I mean, the whole thing with the specials and losing out on Christmas is a thing on itself.
Oh, it pisses me off that he did that to Moffat. After Moffat fought to keep the Christmas slot, for him to just go, nope, is, yeah.
Especially
Anyway.
because the Doctor Force would have been such a better regeneration story than Twice Upon a Time. But
I don't agree with that. But
no, the Doctor Force is like a straight 10. Twice Upon a Time is an absolute.
But you got to see the Doctor being sexist.
Right.
Yeah,
What do we
Spyfall
think
Part
of Spyfall Part 1?
There was the basketball bit. There was Lenny Henry. She took some tubes off the underside of the TARDIS, and that was a fun little gimmick. Stephen Fry got shot in the back of the head.
By Sandy Togsvig.
If that had been it, that would have been great. Obviously, I think the best bit of that episode is the reveal at the end.
Yeah.
But we kind of have to talk about that in a minute because we'll have to. I think the basic
We'll give the audience more time to watch in case they haven't seen it.
in terms of like the plot, like it is like let's do a James Bond thing.
Yeah.
Like
Without James Bond.
we've got like our own M. We've got references to Torchwood and Unit, guys. They still exist in universe, possibly.
Yeah.
I find it hard. Like I like Spyfall Part 1 a lot more than I like Spyfall Part 2.
Yeah.
I'm the opposite, and I think I'm the only person that flips that.
But I just think in terms of what it does, it's kind of... It's not much in terms of what it does story-wise. I don't know about what you guys think.
I mean, me and Mike, we watched this a few months ago, didn't we? Together, and
That's
I
what lowered
actually
it in
liked
my
more than you.
expectations,
Yeah.
Yeah, because I thought it was on first watch. I was like, it's good, and then watching it back, I was like, there's an awful lot of exposition dump, a lot of padding, and really the best thing about it is the big reveal at the end, which when you know that it's coming is kind of like, well, all right. So
Because I think it
I
was
didn't
one of the
hate
episodes.
it, but
It was Lockdown Doctor Who. It was one of the episodes that was shown, the whole of Spyfall, and I think quite a few people went into it really excited and then came out of it. It's like, oh, okay, that hasn't held up so well. Like after knowing that the Sasha reveal at the end, and I think you can rewatch and like respect the performance a bit more of like the deception, because I think it was a really good performance, and I think Sasha deserves to be the master for many more years to come. And I think if any of the masters in Modern Who were to make the showrunner jump in terms of being in 2 separate eras, is probably Sasha. And
John Sim technically did.
I mean, kind of, but you know what I mean. When
Yeah,
the
I
master came back in Moffat.
You
era.
want Sacha Dhawan to be Anthony Ainley, is what you're saying.
We haven't really had anybody like Ainley when he was like 3 different doctors. So
Exactly, and I want Sasha to, recreate that mold, basically.
actually 4 doctors. Dang. Yeah. Sorry. Well, I'll jump in. I'll say that as I said, I didn't really love Spyfall Part 1. I preferred Part 2, which we'll get to. But my other criticism of Part 1 is that at the time I remember being quite excited about where they were going to go with the villains, whose name I can't even remember. The Kasaving, that's right. Or whatever. But yeah, again, it was another Chibnall nothing burger. It was, what are they? Why do they look like that? What's the deal? Nope, never explained.
That's why I'm kind of the reversal. I actually think Part 1's pretty great, and I think Part 2 is fucking shit.
Yes, yeah.
I
like Part 2.
Spoilers, Spyfall Part 2 is my least favorite episode of this series.
Wow.
Genuinely.
Not even close.
Yeah, I think it's really bad, but I think Part 1 is great. I think there's a lot to really enjoy. I like the way the companions are all brought back, even if Ryan and Graham really don't get much to do this series. I really enjoyed Jodie's performance. I think Sacha Dhawan is obviously the highlight. It was nice to get Stephen Fry finally in Doctor Who, even if it was just briefly. It was also really nice to have Lenny Henry. I think he was quite good. There was Spyfall Part 1. I try and keep them separate, even though they're the same story, because I do think they're so vastly different in quality. Yeah. I think Part 1 sets up a lot of really good stuff. It's fun to watch. I thoroughly enjoy it. I love the bike chase. I love how they get on the plane. I love all the stuff with O. There's a lot that I really, really enjoy with Spyfall Part 1. Obviously, the ending is the best bit. The reveal of the Master. The cliffhanger's really good. It was nice to have such a good cliffhanger after we hadn't had one, really, for a while. With this being the first 2-parter since, what they said in 2020, so it'd been nearly 3 years since we actually had a full 2-part story with Well Enough in Time when the Doctor Falls. I thoroughly enjoyed Part 1 of Spyfall. Part 2 we'll get into. But yes, as for Part 1 by itself, I think it's the best series opener of Jodie's era. I give it an 8.
Yeah, but I think also that's not hard.
Nicely put.
In as kind as I can put that, you know what I mean? She's not got a lot to go on in terms of quality or quantity of her episodes, so it's. Yeah.
It's the same with the finales. Arguably, the finales are worse. You've got the Battle of Ran Score, you've got the Timeless Children, and you've got the Vanquishers. That's not going to set the water light, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, very true, very true. I mean, I was sold on this episode when she says it's the Doctor. I love that little moment of hers. Them in the cassette, there is a lot of just cheesy fun that we don't really get a lot in terms of here's the companions actually on a thing doing stuff and it's fun. It's just normally it's I have to tell you everything that's happening now because I don't trust you to look at the screen and tell me what you see. But obviously Sacha Dhawan is standout, and the reveal of him on the plane as dun 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 the Master, which did anyone expect?
No.
Yes, because I'd seen it leaked.
Boo! Boo!
Where had it leaked? I didn't see the leak ever.
I don't remember who it was that leaked it, but everyone was Sacha Dhawan's being cast in this episode and he's playing the Master. I still got a bit of a shock because I thought that it was the leak was wrong and he was just in the episode. So that when he was introduced as I was I guess they were wrong. He's not the Master. They just assumed he was because.
Right, Mike. O for Omega, eh?
If only one day I will get my wish. Omega will return.
Played by Charles Dance.
Yeah, sure.
I think everything. Should we go on to Part 2 or should we give scores and do it? Did you want to rank it as Did you want to rank it as an individual episode or
complete story?
After the individual episodes, I gave Part 1 a 6 out of 10.
Yeah. I think our scores are going to differ between the parts, so I'd say individually is probably best.
I'd say this was a 7 for me. It was enjoyable, but obviously there are problems. But it's just in terms of turn your brain off and watch it. It's
And
fun.
figure out who the ghost people are, which you'll find
Don't
out.
don't think about any of that. Just watch
I mean,
these
have,
lovely
have
flashy
any of you
lights.
seen the special effects team, the post they made a few weeks ago? And it
Yes.
was like the Kasavin before and after, like the heavy effects, because originally they had actual design to them. They were still like, they had still had that lights going off them, but you could still see the design a bit, and you could see their head was literally a bellend, basically. It was just like a massive bellend.
But that's
As I point to
that's
myself.
what
No, but yeah.
that's what threw me though, is that I thought the overly bright light design was hiding a big reveal about what they were, and they were going to turn out to be like bored or something. But if they hadn't had that, then it would have been, oh well, that's they are.
I thought. So I've turned my camera off. I'm eating, but like I thought they were going to be revealed to be the Cybermen. Because we knew the Cybermen were coming back,
Ghosts.
I thought this was a precursor. I thought, like, you know, the part when I know we're getting into part 2, so I'll just go into this bit now. But the part in part 2 where Lenny Henry's doing that whole sort of conference, and then he does the whole reveal about like the technology, and then it like starts like people's computers start like whatever it is they do when it like starts trying to like merge with them or whatever it was doing. I thought that was going to be revealed to be, oh shit, this is the start of the Cybermen, because we knew the Cybermen were going to be a big part of the series, and I was really excited thinking this is how they set it up, because I, again, didn't really see it coming. And then it turned out not to be that, and then the resolution was god-awful, and then the Casavan were literally nothing, and ugh.
I mean, I think George mentioned it a little while ago. It was the I think Chibnall wrote some of his wrongs from Series 11 in Spyfall, because I know the Kasavin never went anywhere, but you know the scene with the lights outside of O's TARDIS, or the Master's TARDIS technically, the whole scene with the lights, I thought that was pretty cool, and yeah, that was actually pretty scary, to be honest with you. But one of the main criticisms of this era, at least for me, is how Chibnall always likes to cram a lot of stuff into an episode, and it never kind of materializes into anything coherent by the end of it. Whereas I think with Spyfall, you had several different locations, at least in part 1, and we could speak about part 2 for a long time, because, for example, I know Mike, one of your criticisms for Moffat, for example, is part 1 is always completely different from part 2. Like part 1, we end on a cliffhanger, and then part 2 we start somewhere completely different, and that's exactly the same story for Spyfall. But I think that actually helps Chibnall a lot in terms of establishing scale, but also not overdoing it, because part 1 we start in like some random location that never kind of gets brought up, but it just shows the prominence of the villain, I suppose. And wasn't.
I think that's more just Chibnall's attempt to make a James Bond movie, though, because they always globetrot. So it's like,
I mean, it worked because we got that from Series 11, did we? Like Series 11 was very much contained. It's like we go into a room, the Doctor just expositions the whole story to some side characters, and that's an episode. Whereas Series 12, we actually had some scale and some. Like, I think Nikola Tesla's Night Terror, we're going to get to it. I think that's a brilliant episode, and that's just like their attempt to, you know, go big or go in, I suppose. And yeah, Series 12 is definitely an increase in quality on Series 11 just because of that, because of the boldness, and because I think Spyfall, you know, is so much better than any Series 11 episode, in my humble opinion. Except from Rosa. I thought Rosa was good.
So what would be the scores on the
I get, just because I need to go make a drink, I gave Spyfall Part 2 a 2. Which is very low, I know, but I really don't like part 2. But yeah, I'm going to very quickly go and make a drink. I'll be back in a few minutes.
Fair enough.
So what was your scores on part 1, and we'll go?
I would concur with you, George. I'd give it a 7. I thought it was good.
Fair enough.
I'd say 7 as well. 7.
Miguel. Dr. Michael Morbius.
Great.
George, you're going to have an absolute nightmare editing this down, Jesus.
Sorry, guys, I really was genuinely grabbing a drink just as Andy decided to do that. Right. What were you asking, sorry?
What was your score for part 1, and then we can let Will go nuts on part 2?
Well, I gave part 1 a 6 out of 10, and I think it's, like I said, it's too much padding. Do you want my thoughts on part 2?
Yeah, go for it. Start part 2 between you.
I think I'm going to be the only person that likes it, but I much prefer it. I like the introduction of the historical figures, the kind of feel of like, you know, the little churlish hiding around moments and stuff. And I don't give a shit about handing over a genocidal villain to the Nazis. Sorry, I don't feel any sympathy for people like that. I thought it was fun. I love the Doctor's kind of speech about, I've completely forgotten what it is now. These are the dark times, but they don't prevail. That's a really good speech. I liked the actual sense of the adventure. Didn't love the kind of reveal of what Lenny Henry's ultimate point was, but by that point, I was just on board enough anyway.
There was a point. There was a point to his plan.
8 out of 10.
Do you not think like the scene with his mum should have been the cold open for like part 1? And it's like, oh, who's this guy? And then it's like, you know, and then go into part 1. As in part 2.
I was too distracted by the fact that Chibnall called his company Vor, and because clearly never looked up any kind of porn ever.
You told me about this at the time. That was hilarious. No, but like conversely, I had absolutely no connection with any of the historical characters. I was like, why are we here? Like to this day, I owe it a rewatch, to be fair. But what was that? What purpose does those historical characters serve? Because
they all invented computers, Will. They were the PC world.
Oh, you're this person. You did this. Can I hide in your floorboards? And then they just sodded off for the rest of the episode. And I was like, oh, okay. I suppose we now know a bit more about some female historical people, not historian, historical people. But other than that, what was their function? What did they do? They were just...
Do you not feel like that's a bit of the Chibnall era itself? It's like, you're so-and-so, you did this and this. I'm a really big fan of you. Now let's do the episode. Like,
yeah, Mary Seacole does that in War of the Sun Barons as well.
She's just halfway through. She's reduced just to a map reader. She just reads maps.
Yeah.
And she works out the Sontaran thing. And I was like, oh, great. What a waste.
Like, I really like Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror, but there's a lot of that in it. Like, oh, it's Nikola Tesla. Like, he's really underappreciated in his time, blah, blah, blah. And also, he's a liar.
As Thomas Edison will tell you.
Absolutely not. That's it.
But yeah, part 2, I think, is just... It's where... I think it comes into what you said, Will. Like, Chibnall likes to set himself the challenge of, let's see how much I can juggle, because it doesn't matter if I drop it. Like, you know, let's do this with the Master, you know, and there's a lie about Gallifrey and it got destroyed, and actually that was me because I did it, because I'm angry at something, but I won't tell you until it's the series finale.
Because of suspense, yeah, because of dramatic reasons, yeah.
And stuff like that. And I get, like, you've got no sympathy, Mike, for the, you know, let the Nazis... like kill the Master, but like that just seemed a bit harsh. Of now they'll see the real you because you're not white. That was a bit too, a brick through a plate glass.
Yeah, that bit was bad.
Yeah,
but I'd never understood the issue with that personally.
I think it's just in terms of the delivery and the line. Like in the actions, I get it, but there's just the fact that. Now they'll see the real you because you're not white. Goodbye.
That's the whole. That's what I like that though, because that's the whole point. Is that it's his own hubris. It's like, you know, oh, you think you're so clever because you're going around acting like this, when in actual fact, you are such a hypocrite that now they can see that you are what they hate, and the hate's coming back on you, kind of thing. But that's
but what we should do is we shouldn't accept what they were doing. What you're doing now is just saying, okay, but that's the Nazi regime. Like, you're defending the Doctor's actions because by also defending the Nazi regime, which is
not at all. I'm saying what the Master did was bad enough that it's like there's some poetic justice in handing him over to the people that he allied himself with because they hate. It's no different than the times that it's like, oh, you wanted to work with the Daleks, then you can, you know, go live with them while they try to exterminate you or whatever.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I see both sides. I see Mike's point. I think it's just the implications of it that aren't particularly good.
I wish she hadn't said it the way she did, yeah. The idea that it's like, well, they don't like you because you're now a person of colour, I think they could have done with that. But I also don't know how else you could really have done that, I guess.
Yeah, honestly, I think the safest way to have done it is just not to have done that, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, it would have saved a lot of issues, but I see both sides of the argument.
I mean, we
Well,
didn't need to be in
well-
Paris. We didn't need to be set during that period of time. That was the first episodes with the first Park Master, and that scene is involved. I just thought it was horrendous and out of touch. And I don't think we're not accusing Chibnall of anything, but I just think how it translated on screen was not it. And I just completely disagree with you, Michael. I'm sorry, but we know this. We knew that.
What did everyone score this one? Have we done scores?
We haven't done scores yet. No, who wants to go first?
I already said mine.
I gave mine. I said 8.
Okay. And Andy, what do you give it?
I give it like a 2. I really don't like
yeah.
part 2.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, I gave it 1 point above you, so I give it a 3.
I'd probably give it like a 4 or a push of 5, but yeah.
Give it a 6.
Oh.
A 6. Just a 6.
Different ends of the spectrum there.
Yeah, I think part of the issue is just that I thought part 1 was genuinely great, and then to have it followed up by that really, like,
Yeah.
the overall story. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Awful.
Oh, Mike, if you give this what you gave on Twitter a few months ago, I will come for you. I will come for you.
Oh, is that a promise?
I will come for you.
Well,
In what capacity?
I will come for you. Any capacity you want. You gave it a 7 out of 10 a few months ago. I was like, oh.
Did I?
You did. Mike,
Wow.
you know,
Okay.
I have searched using the Twitter search bar your name and then a certain episode, and then you give Orphan 50.
I don't think I'm going to be... You're not going to be happy with my score anyway. I don't think I'm going to be the most negative towards it, but you have talked me down from a 10 out of 10 at least. Sorry, a 7 out of 10, sorry. With at least one legit criticism that I didn't notice that now really... I really wish you hadn't pointed it out to me.
Was that
now
the death of the mother?
Yeah, the kind of like doctor just leaving them there, like, oh well, never mind. What are we going to do?
It's so shit. It's so shit.
I
It's so
wish I
shit.
hadn't. I wish I hadn't pointed that out. 'Cause,
When
yeah.
they're in the tunnel, the mother, the mother of the other younger character who has that love thing with Ryan, the mother effectively sacrifices herself to slow them down so the doctor and co can run off and get out, right? And then all of a sudden, at the very end, when the door is attacking all of these, what are they called? Dregs.
Dregs.
Yeah.
Very suitable
absolutely
name.
nowhere, the mother comes back and says, "Oh, I am here now." And then they turn and they do the little. And I thought, oh, I'm watching Doctor Who. No, I'm fucking not. This is fucking comedy. It's so shit. It's so shit. So effectively, someone came back from the dead. Okay, someone came back from the dead with no explanation at all to have a nice happy ending. And effectively, they start showing all these dregs, of which are about 40 or 50 of them, just after the doctor said, oh, they're all unleashed. So all the dregs are going to be coming after them. So like 50, 60 against 2. And then they teleport away to the TARDIS. And then I think it was Ryan who says, oh, what do you mean they're going to be okay? How do we know? And then there's an awkward pan across the TARDIS whilst Second's ambience is playing audibly. And then Yaz says, what do you mean that was Earth or something about like that? And then we go into the Doctor's climate activist speech and whatever. So it's like, okay, so we've just completely disregarded that whole plot of the dregs and stuff for a happy, nice ending, which doesn't even make sense in itself, for the speech, which is bad in itself. And we have absolutely zero character moments or developments or even... I don't even fucking know anymore. Orphan 55 is the worst Doctor Who episode of all time. People are so quick to throw Legend of the Sea Devils under the bus. I think it's bad, but it's not shit. I think it's not as bad as it takes away the Battle of Rand School. Orphan 55, like Orphan 55 is a sack of absolute shit.
I'm so glad you made it in time.
I agree with behind,
Sickest.
but this is literally just above conundrum for me. I fucking hated this one, and this feels like such a season 11 script put in a good season. It's just, why was this?
It's probably my least favourite of series 12.
Yeah, it's the odd one out.
It's out of the 2 episodes we get this series about climate change, this is definitely the worst one. I think, as funny as Benny is, that was a weird plot. Like you say, obviously the mother's death fake out thing. also, like, James Buckley's there, but, like, why?
Jay
He's-
from the Inbetweeners, yeah, literally.
He's the mechanic handyman, but his son
His
actually knows how to do everything.
his son was so despicably annoying. I just throttle him.
What, in real life or in the episode?
In the episodes, mate, don't worry.
Yeah, I think this is just so, like, because on the whole, I think Spyfall as a story in itself is an enjoyable opener. And then we've got this, and it's like, oh, and this is you and your future, and you have to do this because, you know, it's not just about you that can change. The whole planet needs to do things and listen, and why am I expositing to you like I'm talking to an audience when it's just us four in this room?
Am I the only one that thinks it's also a little bit hypocritical for them to be doing such a preachy message like that whilst filming a TV show which uses so much electricity and resources and...
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not gonna hate this episode as much as everyone else is, but I still don't think it's good. There's just a few things that I appreciate. I actually think the Dreg's design is really cool. I really like the design. I like the setting. I actually find it kind of watchable. Like, I don't hate it as much as Will does. I can watch it and not sit here wanting to punch something.
Or someone.
I do think, as stupid as it is, I think the Benny stuff is really silly and fun. But overall, it's not good. It's just... Spyfall Part 2 just personally annoys me more than this does, but this definitely has problems. Like, I hated that on Twitter they bigged up the ending, and it was like, oh, if you thought Spyfall had a big cliffhanger, like, wait for this one.
Holy
Yeah.
shit, I forgot about that.
Yeah, and then it literally just turned out to be the climate speech, which was awful because it was preachy, and it was just... It wasn't even delivered to the characters, it was literally...
To the camera.
Yeah, it was just Jodie being forced to look down the camera and saying, "Here, look here, you little shits." And it's like, oh, thanks.
Nothing good ever comes from Twitter, Andy. You should know that.
I met you guys through it. Oh, is that your point?
I mean, Mike's not even on Twitter anymore, so...
Shit, I forgot about that. I'm still on the internet. I'm just not on Musk's fucking right-wing takeover. It's like...
Well, I mean, it's good to know that. I get to know that you don't have Twitter anymore. So if I do need to message you or arrange something, I can just message you.
Yeah, I have Discord, Mastodon, Facebook, Instagram. I'm everywhere. TikTok.
Mastodon.
Just not.
That sounds
Twitter.
like a meme. Mastodon.
Bong.
I am the Mastodon.
Oh, yeah. I gave Orphan 55 a 3, I think.
2.
Okay. Let me
One.
check. I think it was a 3.
I feel like I've been even the score that I've given it. I feel is too generous, but I don't want to change it because it would fuck up me having to work out the average for the season again. So I'm kind of locked into it from where I was at 1 o'clock last night thinking about it. So yeah. Well,
what do you actually think of the episode? Because your thoughts have evolved over time, right?
I do think it's overhated, which I kind of always have thought that, and I'm on a similar page to Andy. Like I can disengage brain and watch it. Some of the effects are good. The creature effects are great, but I hate that they turn out to be humans because I suck. I hate that plot line anytime anybody does it. I'm more about like I'd rather have the sort of Tom Baker, the human race will always survive and be indomitable, than the Russell T Davies. Look what humans have become. They will kill their past selves. Like I'd rather be more hopeful than like fucking humans. They're gonna become monsters. So I don't love that. I don't care about the speech because I feel like we as a people are at the point where we have to be screamed at like children now. So I kind of forgive them that.
I get that, but at the same time, I also
that,
feel like a lot of the people who watch Doctor Who are probably people who are aware that we need to help the environment. Like, I feel like we're not the audience that needs it, really.
Yeah, but you say that, but there's a lot of kids and stuff watching it as well. Do you know what I mean? There's an impressionable nature of it, and yeah, sometimes you have to say these things. But either way, that's one moment in the episode, and I liked the guest stars. I thought James Buckley was good. I liked the weird bear woman thing, even though I can't remember her name. I liked the idea with the cool like virus thing that infected people, the Hopper virus. It was
my friend.
I just think it was kind of it was bang in the middle for me, so I gave it 5 out of 10.
5 out of 10.
Enough.
Sorry, Will.
5 out of 10.
What about you guys?
So yeah.
Yeah, so for a 2 for me, I think, what was it, 1 for you?
Yeah, just a 1. Literally because of Benny! Literally only because of that.
Benny! Benny!
But they missed a real opportunity to just play Benny and the Jets in this episode.
That would have been great.
Yeah.
Will, they could have played Ben by Michael Jackson. You'll appreciate that.
No, I don't even.
Ben, the
like
two of us need search no more.
No, they should have just played the clip from Gavin and Stacey where they use it as their vows. Episode 4. Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror, which is probably a fucking amazing title and a really enjoyable episode.
Yeah, it's one of the best episodes of the era, which surprised me when I first went into it. I mean, maybe it's just because Ultimate 55 was such a sour taste. Going into this when it first aired, I was like, oh, I'm not sure if this is going to be good. And by the end, I was like, that was great. That was really fun.
It holds up on a rewatch as well because, like
Yeah.
you just mentioned, like because it comes after Orphan 55, anything better than Orphan 55 may seem like it's just really good. But then I rewatched it and I was like, okay, Nikola Tesla Night is actually pretty damn good. Like I still think it's only like a 7 out of 10, but I think it's the most like sound bit of writing from that entire series where I just can't really fault it. And I think the final 15 minutes, like the pursuits of the what are they called, the skiffer?
The Skithra, yeah.
I thought, what's her name? FGA.
And Angie Mahendra.
Yeah.
Anjali Mohindra.
Really good performance despite all the prosthetics she was under. And yeah, I thought the final pursuit of that. I think the story of they had kind of crash landed and they needed spare parts, so they got these people in was a very Next Doctor-esque, where they got peasants, like children actually,
Peasant children.
And I guess
Bring me the poor children.
For the time. But with this episode, it was just like, is that really the best you can do? We need to repair this ship, so we get a load of random peasants off the street to help build this thing with spare parts. It's just, it didn't add much to me, and that was kind of what probably knocks it down 2 or 3 points out of 10. But other than that, I thought it was just a sound episode. Yeah.
Really enjoyable. A guy who plays Nikola Tesla is great as well.
I can't remember the name of the guy, and I don't want to butcher his name because I know it's like a European name. But I think the guy who played Tesla was brilliant.
His name is Goran Visnich.
Thank you. And his dynamic with Jodie was actually really, really good. Like, I could genuinely have seen Tesla as a companion with Jodie. Like, I thought their chemistry was really, really great. I also, for as much shit as we're giving Chibnall for original monsters, I think the Skithra are one of the better ones, to be honest.
Yeah, I did kind of forget about them, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's actually the only one. Like, if take away Tim Shaw for an episode, give that recurring villain episode to Skithra. Like, if they
I think Anjali Mohindra is really good as the Queen. Like, you can tell that she's just having a ball just playing this character, which is always fun to see. And yeah, it's just such a fun episode. It's really good. It never really falls flat. The pacing's fun. I just enjoy everything about it. It's nothing like phenomenal, but it's also pretty great. I think it's just a really, really great, enjoyable episode of Doctor Who, which in such a hit and miss era is really nice to come across. It's one of the episodes I've rewatched the most because I just find it extremely enjoyable. Yeah.
I'd say probably easiest watch since the Witchfinders, arguably, if not Spyfall 1. But it's just one of the more rewatchable ones, like you say. It's just an easy watch. You can literally switch your brain off, but you're fascinated by his performance, as in Tessa's performance. It's just an easy watch. It's just kind of there, but in a good way.
I mean, straight after coming out of that episode, I thought the exact same as Andy. I thought, okay, Nikola Tesla, imagine him as a companion of 13, because their dynamic, their chemistry as actors was really, really good. But again, would a historical companion work nowadays? And I think absolutely yes, why not? But with it being an actual like person as opposed to a character, like Victorian Clara, for example, would have worked. However,
it should have been her
character, maybe not.
I don't know. Mary Shelley works on the audio for the 8th Doctor as a companion.
That's audio, though, I suppose. I don't know. I don't want to disparage audio.
Oh, but don't worry, we'll get to that in live action later on this season. Don't you worry.
Can I go then? I'll
Yeah.
say what I think.
All on you, good sir.
First of all, yes, everything you're saying about Gore and Vision is correct, and you are all heathens for not watching the TV series Timeless, which should never have been cancelled, and he's brilliant in that too, as the villain? Question mark. So yeah,
He's also
watch
very
Timeless.
attractive. Just throwing it out there.
He's not a bad-looking man. I'm not going to lie to you. But the other actors in that show are all pretty attractive as well. Andy, get it watched seriously.
You're appealing to my sensibilities now, aren't you?
Matt Lanter, Patterson Joseph, they're both in there as well. You know. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I liked this episode a lot because I think the guest star's great. It was nice to. This is my hot take that nobody will agree with, but it was nice to see Robert Glenister in a better episode than Caves of Androzani.
Oh my god!
I echo what everybody's saying about the Skithra being a great original creation and a great design, even though there is similarities to the Rachnos. I knew Anjali Mahindra was a great actress, but I was surprised how effectively she played a villain. Like really, really impressive. The story was good. It was fine. It didn't really offend, or it was slight enough to be a cool little Doctor Who historical romp with a bit of fun. And yeah, I give it 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I'd say it's an 8 as well.
Yeah, 8. Unanimous 8.
Yeah. I mean, I completely agree with Michael's assessment, but I'd give it a 7. It's like, yeah, it's alright. It's like good, nothing more than good. It's not like 10 out of 10, fantastic.
No, but I think it's of the higher quality of the Jodie era.
Absolutely, yeah. It's probably my top 10.
It's just great fun. I gave it an 8. I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. It's just such a good time.
Screw it. I'll join in the club. I'll go up to an 8. I've done it. All right. Well, I'll give it a 7.5, but then we can run it up to an 8.
Nice.
This is going to be...
What a disgusting episode.
This is going to be an episode of the ages, because...
What a disgusting
people
episode.
are not going to love me and Will's take on the next one.
Who wants to start on Fugitive of the Jadoon?
I think Mike should start.
Mike, yeah, go ahead.
I do not understand all the praise that people gave to this episode. It is entirely down to one reveal, which it now turns out is just never going to be explained. So even retrospectively, that makes it worse. There's nothing to the episode. The Jadoon are just there. They don't do anything. Granted, I did like Gat, the kind of the Time Lord that was chasing her down. I think she's a great actress. She's great in Umbrella Academy as well, and that was an interesting development. But I don't think you needed the kind of Time Lords chasing them and the Jadoon, although I did kind of appreciate the Jadoon platoon near the lagoon line, even though it's stupid.
Yeah, she's really forcing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I echo what everybody's saying. Like, I love Jo Martin as an actress. I think she's great. She's fantastic as the Doctor, but I just that is literally it. The reveal is like, I'm the Doctor. Gonna explain it? Yeah, kinda, but not really. All right. So yeah, that episode for me is
right.
It's fine, I guess. It's not like it's egregiously bad, but ultimately, I would go 5 out of 10, and I refuse to acknowledge the penis flasher because that's nothing either. That was just like, get us a quick headline.
Yeah, Mike, you didn't like the characterization of the fugitive Doctor, did you? With the whole Jadoon like snapping off.
Well, no, I preferred her as Ruth, unlike everybody else, because she became ironically ruthless as the Doctor, and I was kind of like, as the Doctor, I'd rather not see you like, now I have all this confidence, I will basically rip off your horn and shoot you, and it's like, no, calm down. But this is the only time that she's like that. Like, I love her in Timeless Children. I love her very brief cameos in Once Upon a Time and Power of the Doctor. So it is just the writing during this episode. But yeah, don't love it.
Yeah. I mean, retrospectively, Michael, you did mention it. Like, because we have so little of the fugitive Doctor in the future series, at least we have like a whole episode where she's like doing her best and the Master impression is like, okay, she's playing this human like character, and then she's a Time Lord now, and I get that, and it's like better than just like 10-second cameos or holograms, or even in the Timeless Children, she's not even there. She's just like a figment of the Doctor's imagination in, the vortex, not the vortex. What do you call it?
Matrix.
The Matrix. That's it.
The Matrix Revolutions.
Yeah, and I know you like that scene, but yeah. Great one. You like that scene, but it's just like, a grayscape with dialogue.
I just think the characters used more
Stock footage.
effectively in that scene than anywhere else, but that's a different.
Yeah, I would say so. I think
Yeah.
that we can all just agree that Joe Martin is criminally underserved in this entire era.
Yes.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
She needs a spin-off.
Well, she's getting one via Big Finish,
Not
but
really enough, yeah.
we need
And
one on
Chip
screen.
just done more with her. Just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stop. Ugh. It's so frustrating because I kept on thinking, like, it's coming, something's going to be coming. It's something. Nope. Very throwaway couple of cameos is all you get.
It's because in my review of what was the episode after Village of the Angels? Was it
Survivors of the Floats.
Survivors of the
My
Flood?
worst episode of the era.
Yeah, my review of that was effectively saying, well, Chibnall's building something here, but it's not. It's just it's not building anything. If he's just establishing things, like if he establishes things as being there, that's technically not building anything. He's just saying he's putting all this ahead of us, and he's like, absorb it. But the thing is, if he doesn't go anywhere with it, then what's the point ultimately? And like I remember telling this to Michael, and Michael was pissed off. Chibnall did not originally intend for Ruth to be the fugitive doctor. He hadn't even conceived that. They were like, Ruth, she seems like a Time Lord. And all of a sudden, okay, we're going to slap the fugitive doctor in here, and now this thing exists. And that's why I think in Series 13, she is completely and utterly wasted, because Chibnall just wanted something more to throw in there that I didn't even originally plan. And I think it was an absolute waste of talent, because I don't think Joe Martin is... I don't think she elevated the poor things she was given in the script. I think the script she was given was crap, and she didn't really have the gravitas, I suppose. She didn't have the kind of she had the Doctor vibe, but in terms of her delivery of her lines, I just couldn't get behind her. And I think Jodie outshone her in literally every scene the pair were in. And that's a testament to Jodie, because I don't think she was particularly great at all. But you know,
I think like she takes a major back seat in The Fugitive of the Judoon. Like, she's very much not the focus, because it's like, let's, you know, spend all our time focusing on this reveal / Captain Jack giving the guys a message that they ultimately ignore and is pointless for that whole thing being in it anyway.
It's Chibnall's entire era in a nutshell, because it's like Will said. It's like, here's Captain Jack. He's saying something about Cybermen. Ooh, can't wait to see where this goes. What do you mean where this goes? That's it. Oh, this woman's the Doctor. I wonder where this will go. What do you mean where it'll go? That's it. That's what you're getting.
Chibnall had a habit of, how do I word it? It felt like what he wanted to do, and this applies to both the Fugitive Doctor and the Timeless Children arc as a whole. What arc? It feels like he wanted to put really ballsy, really daring new stuff into the canon without the repercussions of actually having to see it through. It felt very lazily like it was like, okay, this is what I'm going to remember for in my time of Doctor Who. Bye. And does that make sense?
Yeah.
I feel maybe this is just me, but I feel like the negative backlash to the Timeless Children made that worse, because I really like the Timeless Children reveal, but I don't see the point of the whole Pocket Watch Memories thing at all. Like, that just seems to me like he was going, all right, guys, it's happening, but I'm not going to acknowledge it. We'll just tuck it away somewhere and forget it existed.
No, but here's the thing.
I said years ago, when my first ever episode with you guys was doing the Series 12 finale, and I said way back then, I liked the Timeless Children reveal, or the Timeless Child reveal, but my overall thoughts would be completely determined by how it ended.
Yeah.
And it didn't end. It just never went anywhere. So now the entire thing has been completely soured for me, because it just doesn't go anywhere. And that's so annoying, because there was so much build up for it, and so much of the intrigue of the era kind of then rested on that, and then it felt like Chris Chibnall went, nah, fuck it.
No, but here's the thing. I think people set too high expectations, especially with the Series 13 specials, technically, like the ones that came after the 2022 specials, like I like to call them. In terms of, like, with the Vanquishers, she deposits the Fobwatch into, like, the heart of the TARDIS, where she won't find it for a very, very long time. And then as soon as that episode ends, what do people say on Twitter? oh, I can't wait to see them wrap this up in an episode time. And I think, what the hell, have you even watched The Vanquishers? They just said, like, they made it
And
clear
why-
that it was never going to
Why,
be.
why introduce it then? Why do that? That's so
Yeah,
stupid.
exactly. I'm with Mike on this. Why would you introduce it as a plot device only to then not use it? Because it feels like, at least to me, it felt like they were building up to it going to be a thing in what we now is the power of the Doctor. It felt like it was going to be, oh, this is going to be in Jodie's last episode. She's finally going to look in there, and and then it goes fucking nowhere, and it ruins so much of what this era was sort of built around in some capacity, which just sours the entire thing. And it's really annoying because I want to like this era more than I do because there is good stuff there. But
Anyway,
I mean, what do we know about the Tunnel Children? We know there are about 20 incarnations, and then we have the future.
we don't know that. There could be as many as.
we have no idea. We should probably
they
cover
had
this when we get there.
It had the little slideshow of all the pictures, and there was about 20 there. You had about 15 children, then you had all the Morbius doctors, and then that was.
But
That's pretty much
that's
it.
of what we've seen. Like there could be,
Over 9,000.
because like when she even in Timeless Children, where it's like that whole speech, like it doesn't matter. Like, does that really change like who you are because of like how many odd lives you could have had before? Like what matters is like who she is, and like she knows who she is, and it's that whole thing, and that's a weird like the whole arc itself. Like I don't dislike the Timeless Children at all.
No.
But like with Andy, like my opinion of it is determined by how it has been handled as a whole throughout this era, and with it effectively being redundant, that's one of the reasons why I think I enjoy this series in particular a lot less than I did.
Yes, originally.
Because it's like, well, I know that all this stuff that we're building and leaving threads for means absolutely fuck all. So why am I?
Yeah, exactly. What was the point in doing such a big canon? I don't want to say canon breaking because I still think it worked. But what's the whole point in doing this whole big just continuity changing, this huge reveal to then never go anywhere with it? It genuinely does feel like Chibnall was like, right, what could I do to really leave an impression on the show? Oh, I know, I'll do this, and then
people used to accuse Moffat of doing the same thing, that Moffat only wanted to he wanted to have the first female master and leave his effect on the show. But at least in terms of his stories, it wasn't just as egregious as I'm going to introduce a load of doctors that existed before. What does that mean? I don't fucking know. Bye.
I disagree anyway, because I think Missy is the best incarnation of the Master. I know Sacha Dhawan is incredible, but I still think Missy is the best incarnation of the Master. I love how her arc and story is handled, so I wouldn't say that was just Moffat wanting to do it for the sake of having a female Master at all, because I think what he did with her character was great.
Yeah, I think my love for her is more for Michelle Gomez than Missy. I think
if anything, Moffat did, I think, was him basically thinking, I am the most important person. And I don't even mind it. I like it. It would be the way that he just middle-fingered RTD and Dave the Doctor and went, you think Gallifrey's destroyed? Fuck you. It's not.
And then Chibnall
then just did that back to Moffat.
Yeah,
anyway,
exactly.
So...
Yeah.
Sacha Dhawan literally looks at the camera in episode 9. He's like, don't worry, Doctor, this is going to hurt. But he wasn't saying that to the Doctor. He was saying that to the audience. That was Chibnall's way of saying to the audience that, fuck your expectations. I am going to hurt your mind and I'm going to mess with this show forever and ever.
I just realised we jumped way ahead of Fugitive.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, I was just going to say, in terms of the series being ruined for you guys because of all the threads and stuff, just remember, before the finale, how many actual references and threads did we actually get ahead of it?
Oh, it didn't ruin the series for
in
me.
the Ghost Monument, right?
It didn't ruin the series for me. I still like Series 12 as a whole. It just sours that whole
I'm on
experience.
I'm on the other side of the fence as well. I personally, whether it's true or not, I feel like Chibnall chickened out. I feel like he saw the response to Timeless Children and was like, shit, backtrack.
Maybe. That's possible, yeah.
No, because he kind of put his foot down with Series 13 because Survivors of the Flux, that kind of establishes the whole Tech Tayun thing, and then I know she gets
It doesn't establish anything! They build up Tech Tayun as this huge character and then kill her off!
It actually does something. It just throws it in front of us.
Oh, fucking hell. Anyway,
what was our scores for Fugitive?
We still didn't finish Fugitive.
I gave it a 5. I just want to hear what you guys think.
Holy shit, that was a divergence.
Will, what are you giving it?
Also a 5.
Okay, what about you guys?
I'd say like a 5 or a 6. 6.5.
Oh wow, I'm the outlier here.
10 out of 10.
No, I give it a 9.
1 out of 10.
I love Fugitive. Like, I rewatched it the other day with Phil, and I still love it. I think it's great. I really do love it. The Jack stuff is not good. Like, it didn't need to be there at all. That is the big problem with this episode for me. Is Jack stuff.
Didn't need to be there.
But like, I enjoy the Jadoon stuff. I love the mystery. I like how it builds up. I think Joe Martin's performance is
what
brilliant,
mystery?
honestly.
There isn't any mystery. It's not a mystery if you just build up something you never answer.
Well, it's the way it builds up to the what's this alien presence, and I enjoy it. Okay, I'm allowed to enjoy it.
Yeah, come on.
That's fine.
Props to you.
I still thoroughly enjoy the episode. Having just rewatched it a few days ago, I still really, really like it. And if it's the only full appearance we're going to get of Joe Martin in the Doctor Who episode, I will at least hang on to that, because I think she would have been a brilliant, just main. She should have been the next Doctor, in my opinion.
Yeah, I really kind of hope
that. Yeah.
I kind of hope that I kind of hope her Big Finish arc is really good, and I am intrigued enough to check it out, because like that at least gives her the chance to be the Doctor and be the lead.
Yeah, 100%.
Same with Sacha Dhawan as well.
Yeah, I still really like Fugitive the June. I still think it's a really great episode, even if everything it builds up doesn't ultimately really go anywhere. But I'm trying to separate it and just look at it as an episode, as just a singular episode, which I think
that's why I ultimately give it a 5. Is that like on its own it's fine.
It's not bad.
I also really enjoy Joe and Jodie's dynamic together. It's like the scene in the car. I really like the sort of conversation they have in there. I also think apart from all the Jack stuff, because the lens flares are just so egregious in the Jack stuff.
He's trying to hide his penis.
I think the episode looks really nice as well, especially like around the lighthouse. I just think it just looks nice. But anyway, yes, I thoroughly enjoyed Fugitive, but I do understand the criticisms.
On its own, I'd rate Fugitive higher, but as we've discussed throughout the various arcs of this era, the episode would scale down lower because of the lack of payoff and the lack of resolution. But on its own, I would rate it like an 8 or 9 personally. But it doesn't hold up now, especially on this rewatch.
I think we wasted the first Doctor played by a person of colour.
Yeah,
as
definitely.
Incarnation that existed, but we're not really going to pay attention to.
It was also kind of, I know it's been said already, but it was kind of dodgy to make her like an outlaw fugitive, like criminal. Basically, it's kind of like, ooh, yeah.
Yeah, but also I think in terms of if you compare her directly to her nearest counterpart, which is probably the War Doctor, she was given more, but still I feel like we knew less.
Yeah.
John Hurt was there specifically for, he's the Doctor that made the decision on the worst day. We know his entire thing, but with Joe Martin, there is so much more potential there because of her origin, but it's not given.
That's why I quite like parts of Once Upon a Time, is that I'd love to see more of when she was traveling with Carvanista and the other one, and see her with those two companions. But
I would have liked to see more of that.
Perhaps the Big Finish series can go into the division stuff. Maybe we can
actually
we
go from
explain
Fugitive
some
to
stuff.
what I think is probably the most forgettable episode.
What, Praxius?
I
like Praxius. I don't mind Praxius. It's not Orphan 55.
Episode of the series, I was like, oh, Andy.
It's not Orphan 55. Praxius ain't that bad. What's wrong with Praxius?
It's just very forgettable.
I think it's the best climate change episode this series.
Yeah.
All I remember about it is one of them was like a vlogger. They were underwater for a little bit, and then of course the kiss at the end, and those are the 3 things I remember.
They actually did a same-sex romance fairly well in this.
That's why I give it credit. I was
okay.
Yeah. I defer
That-
to
this
you
is-
in that, but I thought that was good. True. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked how their relationship was handled. It wasn't like the thing is, what the episode did that was good is they didn't make a big deal out of the fact that it's a gay couple, but they made them feel like a couple, which was really nice. So from my perspective, as someone who is in a same-sex relationship, I thought it was done really quite well. It's the main positive I have of the episode, because the rest of it is very forgettable. And the worst part about it for me is it's written by the same guy who did Kablam, which I love. So I went into this with pretty high expectations because I loved his first episode, and then this one I was like, that was...
Who is it? Pete McTighe?
Pete
Pete
McTighe,
McTighe.
yeah.
I blame
like, this-
Chibnall for what went wrong. He's cool written this episode.
Yeah. And like the reveal of the villain, like what the fuck was that?
What was the reveal?
It was the scientist lady whose name I can't remember, but I can't even remember her motivation. Yeah, I can't remember her motivation either. It was bad. It just, yeah.
Connor, you said what's up with Praxius, so what's good about Praxius, mate?
I was to say, what is bad? What's wrong with Praxis? I'll say it's not all from 55. I just didn't think the episode was going to get shat on as much. I just thought it's literally a 6.5. Just jump ahead of my rating because I need a piss. But ain't that bad in my eyes.
I mean, I don't disagree particularly. I give it like a 5 out of 10. It's just like mid.
I give it. Go for it.
Sorry, go on, Mike.
I give it a 3 out of 10. I give it credit for having a realistic gay relationship that's not defined by trauma, and that's about it. So 3 out of 10.
I'd say it's about a 5 for me. Like I didn't love it, but I enjoyed it a lot more than some other stuff in this era. So
I gave it a 4. Because the best thing I can say about this episode is that it exists, and that's not good, really. Like it exists.
Boring, man.
Exactly. It has the best thing about it is the fact that it has a good same-sex relationship done pretty well. Outside of that, and the fact that I think each of the companions actually do get something to do because they all get split up across the different areas.
But
Apart
you
from
feel
that,
like that's got to happen every
it's-
episode. Like they have to always split up for something effective to happen. Otherwise, when they're all together, like nothing gets fucking done.
Oh, that is such a trope of this era. That
is the issue of having 3 companions, though, isn't it?
Yeah, that's another big issue of this entire era is the TARDIS always felt overstuffed.
No,
Yeah.
it's just
Like,
because
he-
Chibnall couldn't vote for him. When
Well,
we
that's
had
the thing.
Amy, Rory, and River, we never had any issues. The Impossible.
Yeah, well,
Actor
that's
had
the thing,
so
though.
many
It
best
depends.
characters.
It depends on the writing quality, because the TARDIS never felt stuffed for me with Dr. Amy River Rory, because Moffat was good at balancing those characters, and they all had a reason for being there, and they all had a connection to each other, because heck, Amy, Rory, and River all turned out to be one family.
Yeah.
On the other hand, when you've got 13 Ryan, Graham, Yaz, it does feel overstuffed because Chibnall doesn't know how to make them all feel like they belong there.
He just throws in characters for the sake of it. Like he did the same thing. He had the perfect setup to reduce it down to just the Doctor, Yaz, and Dan, and then he still threw in Vinda, and it's like, why?
Yeah, and Bell,
And at points Carvanista as well.
and Carvista. Yeah, it's
Those are just characters in the series. We didn't need Dan. We did not need Dan. Legend of the Sea Devils, I was just watching Dan's character and I was like, these lines could just be said by Tosin Cole and they would be absolutely the same. I don't think Dan had much of a character in Legend of the Sea Devils.
I love Dan, but I'm with you in that if you removed him completely from all of his episodes, it would not affect them in the slightest.
Yeah,
Except
that's
Tosin, and it'd be exactly the same.
There wouldn't be somebody to basically out Yaz against her will, which pretty dodgy anyway.
I mean, literally the only episode where Dan really does anything massively important is War of the Sontarans.
Yeah.
What did you do?
Yeah,
well, he's kind of the one that defeated the Sontarans in the present. I mean, I guess it was more
he
Carvanista
said
than
the
him, but-
explosives.
Yeah. It's like he actually did something in War of the Sontarans, but like outside of that, again, I like Dan, but like I like him more than I do Graham and Ryan, honestly. But
yes, same.
It honestly does feel like he could have not been there, and the series wouldn't have felt much different at all.
I mean, the Doctor didn't like him as much because she left him homeless.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, sorry about that. Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Nearly shot you in the face on a space train. I would say that because the fact that you've got the core 4 characters, getting back to like the Dr. Graham, Ryan, Yaz, but then Chibnall obviously then brings in all the side characters that you have for that story, or like if you have like, you know, an overarching thing, like you've got like sometimes like 7, 8 like in Praxeus, you've got like 7, 8, 9 characters.
There's too many.
I think we should have seen it coming though, because that's my biggest issue with dinosaurs on a spaceship. Because you've already got the Doctor, Amy, and Rory. Then you introduce Brian. Then you introduce that Game Hunter guy. Then you introduce like whatever Nefertiti or whatever. Then you introduce 2 robots and a bad guy, and it's like, dude, stop just giving characters for no reason whatsoever.
I mean, I actually quite like dinosaurs.
I love dinosaurs on a spaceship.
We're not here for that.
We are not here for that. We're here for Praxeus.
Matt Smith retrospective coming.
What did we all give Praxeus? I gave it a 4. I think Connor gave it a 6.5.
4.5.
I'd give it a 5.
4.5.
Mid pool, yeah.
I'm gonna get ready because I'm gonna get really piled on during the next episode.
What's the next episode?
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Can we just
What was that, George? Sorry.
Can we just appreciate Chris Chibnall is the only writer to have a exclamation mark, a comma, and a question mark all in titles of his episodes. Oh wow.
Good point.
That's the only thing. I like the concept of "Can you hear me?" Like in theory, in practice, not so much. I like the animation bit when they're talking about the war with the planets and like
That
the
bit
evil
is very
spirits.
nice.
That's quite nice.
Really nice.
The guy who plays the weird bald fingery man is good. I forget his name.
Weird bald finger.
Zelen and Raki.
Yeah,
I think it's Shellen.
they're both great. I like that it's an opportunity for world building for like Ryan, like his mate that we've only ever.
I got chips though. It's like. It's like the most iconic line Ryan's. Phil quotes that on a regular basis. It's the only. It's like actually, Mike, you'll have experienced it. It's basically the main thing we remember Ryan for. It's just that line.
It's more of a backstory on Yaz, but I feel like it's too little, too late. Like we've had Demons of the Punjab and then this in terms of developing her as a character, like but across 2 series, and it's such a waste of potential for Mandip Gill because she is a very good actress, and like I'd be interested to see what she does after this.
This episode feels like it could have been in series 11, honestly. Yeah. And like if it was then, it probably would have been better because it would have given us more like insight into Yaz's life before we were like over halfway through the era already.
Yeah, but I don't know who it was on Twitter that basically did like a rejigging of like the Jodie era episodes, like in a way like if you could fit them better to watch and have like Spyfall be the finale.
I saw that, it was good, yeah.
And
I like a viewing guide
have Can You Hear Me in series 11. Like I think it does fit more of that, like being a development story for a new companion in terms of that than being here's this character let's actually give you some information on them and like make you feel connected to them as a character. But in concept, it's a good idea. I just don't think it's like with a lot of the Chibnall era. It's like a swing and a miss a lot of the time.
That's basically my view as well. It's good in concept, not brilliantly executed, but I also don't hate it. I think it's fine.
Oh no, I don't hate it. Yeah, I think it's distinctly
watchable.
Mm-hmm. Will, Andy, what are we saying?
I scored it. What did I score it? Let me get my tablet open. What did I score it? I think I gave it a 6. Yeah, I gave it a 6.
I'd give it about a 6. So, Mike, Will, what were your thoughts?
I'm gonna wait for you. I'm gonna go last because I don't want to get attacked.
He's hiding.
Yep.
I don't want to speak too much. It's fucking shit.
I know Will hate it.
Fucking shit.
Will, you missed because this has been split into 3 parts. Like I said, the most memorable quote will be the title for each part. So we may have to call this part. I don't want to speak too much. It's fucking shit. But,
oh no,
that is fabulous. What is it? Is it the story? Is it the writing? Like, what is it that you hate about this episode?
Okay, first of all, you have Fingering Man.
It's
What's
the
his still?
Had the pain faster
You
recovery.
have what are they called? The Eternals?
Something
What's
like
their
that.
deal? What the fuck are they there for? Who are they? What was their plan? Does anyone know? Does anyone know why they had detached fingers and they went into ears?
They-
Does anyone know? Why?
I didn't think we'd see Will having such a meltdown over this episode.
We were doing a Who Game Shows recording, and then Can You Hear Me came up, and then I just shouted at Mike. I was like, no, this was bad. This was bad. Okay, for example, they go into this room and do you remember the scene where the sonic screwdriver zips up into the hand? Like she's
Yeah.
handcuffed up, and then zip, and I think, and it's like a deleted scene that they're magnetic or something like that. It's like, oh, well, that just looks egregious when you delete a scene that explains how the actual handcuffs are magnetic, because otherwise you just think, okay, the Doctor's Sunny magic, she can summon the sonic screwdriver up from her pocket into her hands like that. Brilliant. Fantastic editorial choice.
Oh my God, Will, I did not think you'd get this this angry about this episode.
But the room that scene was in, right? The Doctor just walks in with the cast, and there's about 10 of them. You have the TARDIS team, and you have about 4 side characters that have just emerged from absolutely sod or anywhere. Okay, and okay. And then the Doctor just speaks for a long time, and Ryan just asks a load of questions. He's like, "What's that? What's that?" Okay, and then when Chibnall realizes that he hasn't given this certain character any dialogue for like 3 minutes, and they've been standing in this room just speaking a load of shit for about 3 minutes, and 3 minutes in a 45-minute episode is a bloody long time. 3 minutes in anything in one place of just exposition is a long time, but the Ghost Monument is 45 minutes of just exposition. So thank God I avoided that one, because I would have been pissed about that one. Where is she? Oh, she's wandered off. She's wandered off. Oh, there's a fucking surprise. Why is she wandered off? Oh, because I had no fucking reason to have her in the script, because there are so many of them. In that one room, there's 10 characters. We criticize the amount of characters in the room. Why is she there? But then before she was even there, they had that little phone call. Do you remember the phone call between Yaz, Graham, and Ryan and the Doctor? They have a little split screen, and then they have, I hate all the, when they speak in simultaneously to each other, all 3 of them saying one word like who, and then like that random woman comes into the call and says who, and I was just like, oh, cringe. So this whole episode pisses me off, and I give it a 0 out of 10. Honestly, Mike's gonna give it a 10. Mike's gonna give it a 10. Mike's gonna give it a 10.
You've
Just
established
because
this.
Holy shit, my pen just flew across the room. I hope that was caught on camera.
Can we please just now title
Well,
this part of the podcast? Can we call this episode of the podcast Will Just Rants About Can You Hear Me for a very long time?
One scene he likes. 10 out of 10.
Fucking hell, mate. Calm down.
Where is he? Where's he gone?
I don't know. I'm just going to make sure he's okay.
Oh, there we go. He's back.
Oh my God, that was... what was that?
Don't tell Will I'm here. Sure.
Oh, I'm crying. I'm crying from laughing at that. Wow, that was a rant.
It is honestly, I think it is probably the worst episode of Doctor Who of all time. Is this
What score? Oh, 0. Oh.
I hate it. There is
No,
nothing
Mike!
remotely good. You guys give it a 6 out of 10, and you said, "Oh, it's good in concept, but the execution was bad." 6 out of 10. No,
I explained that I find it quite enjoyable to watch. Will, calm down. Let everyone else talk. Go on, Mike.
I don't want to talk. I want to move to the next episode.
No, go on.
No, Daddy
I'm
scared
joking.
me.
Honestly, I'm joking.
I'm worried he's
I'm
going to
joking.
hit me or something.
No, I'm intrigued. I want to know.
I like it.
But why?
I like a lot of the things. It's one of those things where, yeah, there's some personal reasons why I like parts of it, but I think it just like it either hits you or it doesn't in a lot of these cases. And it's an episode of my favorite show that I like. I liked the villains. I like the unique kind of nightmarish nature of what they're doing.
I
in
could
live.
see
Like,
Will
I
just
thought
dying
it was
inside.
great. I thought the Doctor was good in it. I especially love, as I mentioned, like the last scenes with, or any of the scenes with Yaz and the police officer, and the kind of, yes, I flipping do remember who you are, and yeah, because I relate to those, so naturally I just connect to them on a personal level, and even to the Doctor at the end, like the scene that everybody hates. As somebody with autism who does genuinely get socially awkward, I kind of appreciated being seen. Yeah, I don't really know what else there is to say other than I think it worked. I can acknowledge that there are things that Will has issue with that I can't say, what are you talking about? That's fine, but it's just one of those things where the issues don't really bother me. I don't care, if that
I
makes
get
sense.
that because sometimes you just personally connect with an episode and that helps. I get that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think
Yeah,
your opinion is justified.
Yeah, but Will is right. I did give it a 10 out of 10.
Literally the opposite end of the spectrum there.
What did you guys give it, George and Connor? Is Connor still there? I know he's got to get off.
Yeah, no, it's 6. I'd say a 6.
We've all got to get
Okay.
off one day, Andy, I tell you what.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we move
Is that a proposition? Because I'm taken.
for
Now we're all
Mike, are you lonely?
the haunting of
always.
I'll come up and see you, man. I'll come up and see you.
The Haunting of Villa Diodati. I'll let
Yeah.
Connor speak on this before he has to depart this realm. I'm not killing
Yeah.
him, I'm just letting him out.
Oh, Connor, why do you have to go?
Off the leash. No, I've got a dinner I should be going to, but it's only around the corner. It's only a quick drive. But alas, Villa Diodati, Mary Shelley 2.0, big finish. Got to it first, but let's do it in live action. Let's do it on screen. The Silver Turk. It's not the Silver Turk at all, but that's the name of the big finish play. It starts off as a pure historical. Oh, let's tell scary, haunty, spooky stories about scary stuff, and it feels like a cliche slasher before any killings. And I'm just like, all right, this is just an all right conversation with a character who's been in an audio that's superior, but you know, I can't knock any of this. But what's going on? Oh, they're spooky. You know, they're going up the stairs, and all of a sudden they're in the same room. There's flashes of lightning. They look outside and they see the shining lightning come take shape into a person. Oh wait, the person teleports, and it's none other than a Cyberman from 3 episodes ago. What the fuck? Why has this episode gone all hectic all of a sudden? It ramps up after that. Just, I don't know. It was a brief little spooky run around romp. Then the Cyberman from 3 episodes ago that Jack mentioned appears, and it was like, what the actual fuck? We ain't even at the end of this goddamn show yet. Like, why is this all happening? Why is this happening? Where was this story like 3 or 4 episodes ago when we've been moaning about Praxius, Can You Hear Me, and freaking Orphan 55? Like, why? Where was this? Where was all this? Love it. Great watch. Would watch again.
I wonder where you were going with that, because at first I thought you were complaining.
Terrible. No, I love it. Great episode. Love it.
I'm so confused.
George, go on, give us your thoughts, because you haven't gone early for a while.
9.5 out of 10. That was George saying that.
That's what you would give it.
Yeah, that's what I get. A 9.5. Yeah.
This is top tier for me. Like, I really enjoy it. I like, one of my favourite bits is the, when they're talking about, like, either letting him die or giving the Cybermen the Siberium, and she's like, this isn't always a flat team structure. Sometimes it's mountainous, with me at the summit making the hard decisions. Like, that was, like, I like.
Yeah, we'll attack him for once.
I like Jodie's like childish nature of the Doctor, but like to have her have them grounded moments where it's like, this isn't all fun and games and me being silly and like eating custard creams out of me TARDIS. Like, I have to make tough decisions. And yes, and like the horror element of a shard, like
Is that an innuendo now? Oh, let me eat custard creams out of your TARDIS.
I tell you what, I had quite a night with the missus last night. I was eating custard creams out of a TARDIS, if you know what I'm saying.
She were bigger on the inside. I would say that Shard's such a great villain that he's underutilized by his next appearance.
Unfortunately.
Like, it kind of puts that whole thing in Power of the Doctor puts a dampener on it, but that's, by the by. But I think he's well done. I think the whole setting, it's well written. It feels
Spooky.
like a genuine like sort of Hammer horror thing. Like it's all near enough in one location.
Yeah.
So it's like it looks like it could like it's low budget, but it doesn't feel it kind of thing. If you get what I'm saying. But I think everyone like hits it out the park, and Ascension builds on it quite well, and Timeless Children has opinions that people do stuff with. I don't know.
Yeah.
I would say it's a 8.5. I'll just say goodbye
okay,
to Connor,
so-
everyone.
Yeah,
Bye bye.
I'm getting killed by a shard
Bye,
of screen,
Connor.
and I'm going to turn into a
Bye,
clone.
Connor.
Next time you see me, I'll be a clone. I'll be a clone next time you talk to me. I'm a clone.
Connor's ganger.
He's actually Koshamas. It's like, yeah, just let me kill everyone, Doctor.
All right.
But I do agree with Connor's assessment up until the end, where it got really confusing on what he actually thought of the episode. Because I thought the first how long is the episode? 50 minutes.
Yeah, I think they're all 50 roughly in this era.
And then the lone Cyberman was introduced about 35 minutes in, something like that. So
I
I
think
thought
it's sooner than that because there's quite a bit that he gets to do in the episode.
Yeah, it's. I don't think it's. I think it's just about halfway through.
Okay, well, in which case, I thought the first half was good, and then the second half was pretty poor. And Mike, you know this, I hate the speech because
Yeah,
I
can
think
see
it
why
does
it's
such a disservice to the companions. The whole mountainous thing. Name one episode where the companions affects the resolution to a story in the Chibnall era. Before that point.
I got chips though.
The one time the companions have something to do, don't let the lone Cyberman have what I want or whatever. The one time they have a actual common goal, the Doctor shoots them down, says "fuck you all, I'm the boss here," and I suppose there's an
That's
argument. He
life,
says
isn't it?
it's like, okay, the Doctor. Sometimes you've got to assert yourself because the Doctor really hasn't asserted herself by this point in terms of like showing the companions the dangers of traveling with her, you could say, I suppose. But it's just like, okay, the companions finally have something to do, and the Doctor just burns them down in a burst of flames. And I just think, no, because throughout this era, we've just had the Doctor going into a room, explaining everything, zapping her sonic, boom, story over. We never have anything for the companions to do. The companions do something, and it doesn't go anywhere. We have this speech, which is well delivered by Jodie, but in the context of the era as a whole, it's not justified whatsoever. And I think people remember it for the performance as opposed to thinking about it conceptually. In my opinion, it just doesn't work conceptually. So the speech lets it down for me. And the final 15 minutes, 20 minutes, or 25 minutes, apparently, if it's halfway, just aren't good because I completely lose the immersion of the setting when the Cyberman comes in, and it's just like more of a Cyberman story at that point, of course. And I did like the scene with the baby. Did the Cyberman kills the baby in the end, right? Because it was
No,
left
he almost
ambiguous.
does, though.
Doesn't he spare it because it's weak and pathetic or whatever?
Oh, of course, yeah, because they mentioned that later in the episode. Yeah.
I saw the man that spared my son. Like, I spared him because he was a shit and a bastard, and fuck him.
He wouldn't fit into my cyber clothes.
That was a good scene, but that's probably the only good scene of the final 20 minutes. I'd give Haunting maybe like a 5 out of 10.
Well, I don't want to seem like I'm attacking Will, but I do disagree with a lot of what he said. I love that there's an actual dilemma, and I love the Doctor's speech. I think it does work conceptually because at the end of the day, the Doctor does kind of have to stand above the companions, and yeah, it's like saying there are sometimes situations when there's no easy answers, and somebody's got to step up. So I appreciated that. I think it did work. I love all the stuff with Ashad because I think I'm one of the only people that realizes that it's supposed to be a Frankenstein's monster metaphor. Like, that's why he's got bits of like 10 different types of Cybermen. So I really appreciated that aspect. That's why it's like the Mary Shelley and the inspiration for that story. I thought the acting that he did was really good. I think it's his best episode where he explains the sort of he wanted to be converted and he hates himself and humanity and everything. For me, that's the better stuff in the episode as opposed to the first half, which isn't bad. I just think the first half was very like, ha ha ha, look at us, aren't we funny? We are in a dark night and I'm talking to Mary Shelley and yeah, we know, get on with it. You know what I mean? So, but I by no means it wasn't like my highest score of the era or anything. And I can see why it's divisive, which I think is an issue with the writing if it doesn't hit home quite so much to everybody. So I went with an 8 out of 10.
Wow, so I'm going to be the odd one out again here. 10 out of 10, second best episode of the era for me.
Well, the other, I mean, Connor gave it a 9.5. So you're not
I
It's top 3 for
fucking
me.
love this episode.
Go on then, Will. Have a go at him.
My top three.
I've said my piece.
I love everything about it. I love the fact that it has a tonal shift because I think it works. Because again, it's like Frankenstein. It's like just it starts as one thing and then suddenly changes into another, and it's pushed together. It's so good. I love this episode. I think it's phenomenal. Ashard, possibly the best Cyberman in New Who, potentially.
Yeah, because none of them get anything to do. They can't anymore.
No, like he made the Cyberman scary. Like he's genuinely quite scary. It's really cool. I think the actress who plays Mary Shelley is really good. I love how this sort of feeds into her history, and I love how the story culminates. I just love everything about this episode. I think it's so good. I mean, I think the only thing that could have made it better is if I'd have gone into it not knowing the Cybermen were going to appear, because it was very heavily pretty much confirmed at this point that episode 8 would have the Cybermen in. So the moment it was established this was Mary Shelley, I was like, okay, so we're going to see a Cyberman and that's what's going to inspire Frankenstein. But like, even then, I think the reveal's really good. I think it comes up more in Ascension of the Cybermen, but I will bring it up here now. I love Sega Nakanola's score for the Cybermen.
That's true.
I really, really like it. So that's one of the other bits of music that I really, really like. Yeah, just in general, I adore this episode. Easily my second favorite episode of the year. I think it's incredible. I think it's so good. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's one of the only 10 out of 10s I'm giving this review, so have it. There you go.
I went crazy with 10 out of 10s. You know me. I was just like, yeah, you have a 10. You have a 10.
There's only one other episode of
this
era. There's only one other episode of this era that's getting a 10, and if you know me, I think at least Mike for sure will know which one he's getting it.
Oh, I think I've probably given it the same as you as well. So
I think I know what your number one is, to be fair. So
Okay.
Village.
We'll get there.
Yes. Confirmation. That small says it all, Andy. Good poker face you have.
I have at least another 3 10s to come, and I'm going to get shit on for at least 2 of them.
But yeah, I think Haunting is incredible. I just realised, both my favourite episodes of the year are written by Maxine Alderton. Maybe they should get her back. Yeah, look, I just love it.
What was your other one that she wrote?
She wrote Village.
Oh, of course she did, yeah.
Okay, Ascension.
We've already reviewed this on the podcast as well, so...
Yeah, we did. This is the first episode I did with you guys. It
was
fine.
like 3 years ago, to be fair.
Yeah, it's fine. Right. It's pretty good. I do think each episode of this 3-parter is worse than the last, but I also don't think any of them are bad. Like, I think I gave Ascension an 8 because I actually really like what it does with the Cybermen. I think it keeps them feeling threatening. I quite controversially liked the sort of flying Cybermen head things. I quite liked them.
Dang right.
Yeah, I again just really like this episode. I think it does a really good job of making the Cybermen still feel like a threat. The cliffhanger's naff because we knew the Master was coming back. But yeah, I just think it's really quite good. I can't remember her name, but there's an actress who's in this. She plays one of the sort of the refugee people, and she was also in Sarah Jane. I recognise her from
Julie Graham.
Thank you. Yes, I think she played Ruby in Sarah Jane.
Yeah, the one that was going to be take over and be Sarah Jane.
Yeah, but she was really good in this episode, in this 2-part. I really liked her, even if she didn't really get much to do in Timeless. But yeah,
they should have just written Graham out to go and live with her, in my opinion. Right about when
because they had a bit of a thing, didn't they?
Yep.
But yeah, I think Ascension is pretty damn good. So 8.
But they couldn't have had him live with her because she has to get crushed to death in that TARDIS in Revolution because she has no idea. I really like Ascension. I think it is. I think it is a decent first part of a two-parter. I think the Master coming through and then sort of basically giving the log line for the next episode, everything is about to change. It was all cringy as hell.
That was a trailer moment that they wrote in because they knew it was going to be in the trailer. To be fair, wasn't it?
True, yeah. But I like the stuff with what Ashard does with the Cybermen. I like the new design. I think that's really nice. I don't like how blasé they are about these are the last 7 humans in existence, and they're like, oh, okay. Moving on. I think Kosharmus is fine as a character. He doesn't really do much.
I wish they'd have given him more as a character for what he's going to do in time,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. I feel like he needed more build-up for the payoff to work.
Maybe.
Because all of his backstory is given to us in the last 3 minutes before he presses the button anyway, so... I think it's... Like you say, I think it's... of all these 3, they get less in quality, but it's still not bad. So I'd say it's probably about a 7 out of 10 for me at this moment in time.
I'll go next because then Will can shit on it.
Hey!
I'm
I like
joking.
it.
I know you
give it
do.
7 out of 10.
We reviewed it together. I think I know I'm alone on an island on this, but I think it's the best out of the 3 parts of this 3. I absolutely love it. I think it gets credit. If there was nothing else, the opening narration and that fantastic shot through the Cyberman's eye.
That shot through the Cyberman's eye is phenomenal. It's so good.
So good. So for that alone, I love the Cyber, Warriors design. I love the sound design of the Cybermen. I like the design of their ship. I think there's genuine tension, that you're genuinely scared when they're hiding inside of cyber suits or in those little closety things. I like those cyber drones as well. I think they're really cool. I like the sense that the cyber wars are an actual kind of, sprawling thing that's happening. I think everybody gets something to do. I really like, I'm from Yorkshire, that's practically a love letter or whatever. I think that's a good moment. And I genuinely was surprised by the cliffhanger because for some reason, even though I'd heard about Duan in Spyfall, I had no idea the Master was coming back, and it just completely left my mind. So when he did jump through at the end, I was like, "Oh shit!" So yeah, I gave Ascension a 9 out of 10.
I was expecting a 10, to be fair.
No, not quite.
Go on, Will.
What kind of stops it?
Like you said, there's a little bit too much low budget for we are the last people in Earth. And having said that, the only memorable person amongst them is Julie Graham. So there's a moment quite early on where I think 1 or 2 of them get killed off, and I don't even remember who they are, what their name was. So I can't give it points for that when it's well, what are the stakes? I don't care about this faceless person whose name I don't even know.
Yeah. I mean, we know that I agree with pretty much every point you just made, Mike. There were just 2 things that I didn't particularly like about this episode. One, I've completely forgotten, but the second one was the whole Brendan story. I don't mind that. I hate how the Brendan stuff was wrapped up in terms of, that wasn't real. The veil lifts and it's this other set of people, but it's not Brendan. It's not his father. It's just 2 other people. It's okay, well, that was a load of crap.
I like it. I like what I think I'm one of the few people that gets what he's doing with
No,
that.
I get what he's doing. No, I get what he's doing. It's this this white guy and this white father throughout the whole of Ascension, and then at the end of it, it's the reveal of the timeless children, and then the Matrix or whatever the hell it's called kind of lifts, and then it's a black boy, and then it's a black father, and then that's the whole kind of lead into the timeless children in terms of the Doctor.
It's the Doctor. It's basically
the Doctor.
It's the Matrix's. It's the Matrix's version of the Doctor being mind wiped and turned back into the first Doctor, which nobody seemed to understand at the time.
No, I just saw it as throughout history we have been brought up on white people.
No, it was
characters.
It was specifically showing you it happened though. That's why they had the whole thank you for your service to Division, but we've got to do this, and it shows you Brendan, who is the Doctor, getting like strapped into a chair and mind wiped.
No,
and
no, but
altered.
at the very end, we have the whole scene, and we have transitions, and then it's actually not Brendan. It was just the Matrix's perception filter, and that was what we were getting. That was Brendan, but it wasn't Brendan. It was a black guy. That's what I'm trying to say. It was trying to, it was making it more inclusive, which is absolutely fair. I'm not criticizing that. I'm just saying, was it handled as well as it could have been? I don't think so. And,
I like it. I like I said, I get the point. It's not supposed to be showing you a village in Ireland. That's just what the Matrix did to disguise it. And it is actually the Doctor, you know, getting their memories wiped of working for Division and all of the pre-Hartnell Doctors and being returned back to childhood and mind wiped.
That parallel's nice though, to be fair.
Yeah.
Because you brought it up at the time, and then I rewatched it, and I thought, okay, that now makes sense, because that was a really jarring scene before, and then you explained it, and it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
I really wish he'd made it clearer, because I like what he's doing, but I fully get why everybody's confused by it. So
it's a little jarring.
Anyway, George,
I gave it something, by the way.
I said my stuff on Ascension. Yeah.
Okay.
I did really like it. It is not as strong as Villa Diodati for me, but I think it is stronger than what, you know, comes after it. Like, not that I dislike Timeless Children or disagree with it or whatever. I just, in terms of, you know, the storytelling, the quality, the scariness of the Cybermen, it's effective. I like the Brendan stuff. Confused me a lot at the time, but like once you get once you've watched that and the Timeless Children, and then you're rewatching, like, it totally makes sense of, like, this is how they are, like, sort of shorthand explaining this is what happened to the Doctor, lived out a whole life, got to the end, and then, we're just going to make you go back to the beginning and do it again, because you belong to us, essentially. You are basically the prisoner of the race that you helped create, which is quite sad and power mad and shit in a way, yeah. But, yeah, so it's like a 7 out of 10 for me. Like, I really do like Ascension. But shall we dive into this cesspool?
I remember the first one.
I remember the first criticism I had. I don't like how we quickly brush aside the fact that the Doctor had literally just been responsible for the decimation of the human race, and that we were down to like the last few thousand people of the whole species. How did that even get wrapped up? Like, the human population was down into the thousands. How was it repopulated?
Magic.
What the hell happened? It was just like a throwaway line.
The same way that the universe was restored in Flux.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The same way the human race were wiped out by the Toclophane and then still existed afterwards.
No, but that was reversed. The whole event was reversed.
Yeah, but also they do clean house anyway, don't they? They just sort of casually reset continuity every few years just to be like, and we start again from history now, which is, I assume Russell will do the same once he comes in. But Flux didn't happen in this world.
Thank God.
I mean, we talk about the Doctor committing genocide a lot in this era. Well, she almost committed genocide against the human race, and that was just brushed over with a line.
I didn't read that at all. I didn't read that as what she was doing.
I mean, she had a decision to make: one person or the human race, and the Cyberman would attack him. And then the Cyberman obviously attacked him off screen, kind of off screen, decimated him off screen. And then she says, "Oh, how many are left? Oh, a few thousand." And I think, holy shit, they have just killed billions of people off screen. And what are we going to have Yaz do? Say, what? And then the Doctor says, yeah, sorry. Anyway, onto the plan. And I think, oh, fucking hell.
Yeah, that is it.
That was my only problem with it. And Brendan.
Timeless Children. Are we ready?
Yeah, I'm one of the few people that really quite likes it. I'll give you that much.
Yeah, I don't dislike it or hate the reveal. Like, I think the terms of the Doctor being like the chosen one, special person is a bit sort of cliche, but I think
it was done before, though. I mean, that was since Cartmel. That's already been established, so that's not like Chibnall did it.
No, I get that, but also it's like it's like the Time War in Day of the Doctor. It breaks the continuity, but also doesn't. Like, it's of that thing of, you know, you don't have to fucking take this as gospel truth, because, you know, everything that you know to have happened still happened. It doesn't affect that. of it. And obviously it gives context to why there's Joe Martin, why there's other doctors. I like the effects of the regeneration as we see the child growing up. Like the first regeneration on Gallifrey is, the way just everything bubbles under the skin and everything. Like that's such a nice new effect. I don't like how the Master is just, you sit down, Doctor, I will explain all of this to you in exposition and then the episode will end kind of thing. I just don't like the way it's delivered.
That's my biggest criticism of this entire episode. Is just that if you really think about it, not a lot happens.
It's so boring. So boring.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's boring per se, but I would argue that really not a lot happens. Most of it is just the Doctor sat in the Matrix.
Yeah, well, it's the Master explaining the Doctor, the plot to the Doctor and whatever, and then when we actually go to the Matrix, it's literally just a grayscale, bad CGI. Well, not bad CGI, a bad green screen key, and so it's such an unimaginative episode. And for a finale, I know I'm an outlier here, but I don't particularly like the name of the Doctor for similar reasons. Because as a finale, yes, it's built up as this grand scale thing, but it's just, if you actually think of the name of the Doctor, think about the amount of sets it has. Compared to the Wedding of River Song, which is literally everywhere, name of the Doctor is just set on Trenslow and in maybe like 2 locations on Trenslow.
Dude, it visits every previous incarnation of the Doctor.
Well, yeah, I guess, but it's just like Clara, it's just Jenna Coleman CGI'd into old, unrelated. We reviewed the 5 Doctors, Mike, and then it was a clip of the 3rd Doctor just driving Bessie in the 5 Doctors, and then the name of the Doctor has that clip, and it's just Clara shouting the Doctor's name, and the name of the Doctor is like, but why? Because that 5 Doctors scene has absolutely no danger or peril, so why does Clara even have to be there? So anyway, besides the point, name of the Doctor, not a really good episode, but in terms of like the spectacle, it's like grand. It's supposed to be grand, but you don't kind of buy into it because we're on this destructed version of Gallifrey, and I have my criticisms of that because it's literally just a middle finger to Moffat, which I do think this Chibnall era has accidentally done several times. Completely disregarding Missy's arc did piss me off, and I think a lot of people.
I really hate that argument from people.
Yeah, but a lot of people were counting on Sasha being the Master before Missy, but it's just like, okay, but why did Missy suddenly just become this John Sim-esque Master again? Like Sasha, I don't understand how people can hate John Sim, but love Sasha. At least not before Power of the Doctor. Because Spyfall Part 2, the reason why I hate it so much is because Sasha hams up his performance to the End of Time Part 1 levels of John Sim. It's just, yeah. But my ultimate point is 2 locations in which the Timeless Children is set doesn't do it for me.
I would say the argument about Missy and like the whole, arc thing, like, the Master could very easily have just regenerated and be like, what the fuck was I doing? Why was I siding with the Doctor? Like, and finding out...
It's explained in the series. He found out the Doctor was the timeless child and went mad with jealousy. He wanted to be special. The Doctor spent his entire time as Missy telling them they were special.
Okay, so in one scene, he simultaneously ruins the whole Gallifrey thing in Day of the Doctor, and then also ruins the arc. So
did you really think the show was never going to use the Master again?
That Moffat had established. Pooh.
I don't think it ruins the arc anyway, because if you think about it, and I'm saying this, Will, I'm a diehard Moffat stan as much as you are. The Doctor changes personality every time they regenerate. It's not very difficult to believe that the same wouldn't happen to the Master.
Oh, exactly. I get that.
But
I think...
George, have you watched Classic? You've watched all of Classic Who, right?
I've watched a fair amount, yeah.
The Master is fundamentally the Master. They don't change much in Classic Who at all.
No.
Ainley and Delgado.
So they are different in
the
themselves. Yeah, but they're all sort of... It's like the Doctor. They are all the same character, but they are vastly different in terms of their incarnations. And to have one incarnation, who was at the beginning of her, portrayal was... having a cyber army and trying to murder the Doctor and his friends, and trying to poke Jenna Coleman with a stick. Like, she went on that journey mainly through Series 10 of reform, and then that comes into question when she's up against her old self, and then is killed by herself for her, trying to side with the Doctor. And like Mike says, like, finding out, his whole thing was like, a piece of you is in me, and like that, like basically like that really pissed him off. Like, I get that, I can believe it, because this master is like unhinged, it's bravado and stuff like that.
To become like him, to actually understand.
Yeah,
his
and then finds out she'll
original
never be
truth.
anything like him, though. That's the whole point.
Why? Because a part of him.
Because the Doctor, as we now know, is the origin for the entire species, which means that no matter which way you look at it, and no matter which way you look at it, the Doctor, the Master is never going to amount to what the Doctor is, because the Doctor literally created their entire species, and that pissed him off.
That in itself, that pissed me off. Why is the Doctor now the god of the Time Lords?
Take it up with Andrew Cartmel.
Chibnall can fuck off, honestly.
I do hate that aspect that, like, the Doctor is the be all and end all, the special one, and does take it away, like, from stuff they've done before. And also, like, the fact that she's like, why would they lie? But it's like, what the Time Lords have been like the last couple of times that you've interacted with them. You know that they're full of shit and, like, for themselves. Like, they will let you die to preserve 1 billion years of Time Lord history, because retroactively, deep down, they know that without you, that history does not exist. Like,
they will literally send a universe-eating cloud of fog throughout an entire universe just to kill you because you got out and know too much. Like,
I was just gonna say, the people that hate Moffat for A Good Man Goes to War, for making the Doctor this, just this superior being, for them to then just say, "Oh, the Timeless Children is great," I think, what the fuck are you guys on about? That's so hypocritical. The Timeless Children literally makes the Doctor this integral being to the Timeless civilization. But then you hate how all these villains that the Doctor has defeated hate the Doctor enough to create an alliance in the Pandora Code opens, and then also want his downfall and the Good Man Goes to War. But then they are literally the fundamental reason for the Time Lords existing, being what they are. It's dumb.
I disagree completely.
Why?
I think the whole point is well, first of all, there's way more to Time Lord society than just the ability to regenerate.
No, like, but I swear we've had this establishing of what the Time Lords, how they were formed.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
The
like,
Doctor's just been shoehorned in.
No, the Doctor's always been that third other. That's what they've been hinting at since, like, McCoy, as I keep saying. There's always been 3 people, and we know that one of them is Omega, who invented time travel. Yes. And we know the other one is one other person, I forget, whatever. And the third person was always assumed to be the Doctor, then is revealed to be Tech-Te-Un. And again, the Doctor being able to be the source of regeneration, you've got to bear in mind, isn't something that she gave them out of, like, great generosity. It was pulled from her, from abuse, effectively.
Yeah, let's talk about that. How Tech-Te-Un just abuses her kid, forces a ton of generations onto this child by just injecting and killing and slaughtering this child into several forced generations. That's sick.
That's the point, though. That's like you say, like, oh, the Doctor is some kind of god that can do anything.
In no point in any of this is Tech-Te-Un framed as a good person.
Exactly,
it's
yeah.
quite clearly established that she is not a good person. Like, the only wasn't the only reason she took her in because she saw her, or did she take her in before she saw her regenerate? I can't remember.
It's a bit vague, but yeah, certainly she starts experimenting on the Doctor when she finds out that
I feel like maybe it started coming from a place of good, but then quickly turned into something a lot more fucked up when she realized what she could do. Like,
yeah.
But like, the point is, at no point is it established that Tech-Te-Un is a nice person. Like, it's very clearly framed as she is not, and like that's carried on.
Fair enough.
Even into Survivors, which is it is still carried on into that she is not a nice person.
Yeah,
Here's
and I
the
would
thing.
say the same is true of the others in the Time Lord Society. They're never portrayed as especially good.
Of
Rassilon and
course, even
Omega are
Castle
never
Rock.
Yeah,
portrayed as great.
Rassilon's never portrayed as a particularly nice person.
But yeah, the question Doctor Who, it's like there was mystery to the show beforehand. So now we have this like extra mystery of okay, so that portal that the Doctor as a child had fallen through, where does the portal lead? It's like these are just unnecessarily more questions onto what we already know. It's like, do we really need that? Like the
No,
Doctor
because
has come
it's
from this portal,
that's
but
the whole point though, is that it's adding
who
mystery. Because
cares?
like if you
We
think
don't
about
need
it,
more mystery. We don't need
when
more
the show
mystery.
of course you do. When the show began, we didn't even know that the Doctor was alien. The word Gallifrey isn't mentioned till the third Doctor's era. And now, instead of knowing where does the Doctor come from, a planet called Gallifrey, now we know where does the Doctor come from. No idea.
That sucks. The Doctor
It's
isn't
brilliant.
from Gallifrey. No, we've known Gallifrey as the home planet of the Doctor has his affiliation with Gallifrey, and now the Chibnall's like, no,
No,
no.
because he's.
Okay,
I mean,
Will,
Doctor does
genuine
not come from
question.
Gallifrey.
Genuine question.
Yeah.
Would you have been happy, whatever answer they gave, to where the portal came from? Because I'm willing to bet that no matter what the answer would have been, you would have still been pissed off by it.
No, I'm saying the portal. We don't need a portal. Why can't the Doctor just be from Gallifrey?
Because it effectively doesn't really matter, because like as the more you learn about a character, especially with this show, like if you knew everything about the Doctor, then what would be the point in watching it? Because you would know all the backstory. Well, how did this happen? Well, I know because in this episode this happened, this episode this happened. You have to like gradually, as you learn stuff, you also have to kind of unlearn things, which is like what they tried to do with the McCoy era, just because like the Doctor had become very predictable. So then they introduced like the Cartmel master plan. So what if the Doctor's not always been this person you know? Like, you have to have these intriguing things to have the reason to be like, watch it and find out kind of thing. And I always took it as a, the speech at the end of the Day of the Doctor, when the Doctor talks about, where I've always been going, home, the long way round. We always took that to assume Gallifrey, but in the subconscious, if you like look at it and you look at the Timeless Children, you can take that as to find out where they are actually from. Like, they've gone through Gallifrey, that's been destroyed again, and they find out they're not actually from there. So eventually, maybe they will, in the 100th anniversary, you'll get to the planet that, they fell through the portal at. And even then, when you learn that, then there'll be something else that we don't know. Because if we know everything about this character, then what is the point of watching this show?
Yeah, that's my point. And I would say my question to you would be: does the first and second Doctor's era suck because you don't know they're from Gallifrey, or does it not affect that story? And it's nice to have a little bit of mystery.
No, because that's the very foundation of the show. The show is building its lore, and then we've had 50 years of said lore. The Doctor is from Gallifrey. The Doctor has this strong affiliation with Gallifrey, and then all of a sudden,
I don't though. And RTD destroyed it anyway.
What do you mean? And yet,
the Doctor ran away from Gallifrey because they don't like it.
Throughout Series 3 and the Tennant run as a whole, you have the aftermath of the Doctor's, especially in like episodes of
he really seemed to miss those guys that he let destroy themselves in the end of time. Yeah, that was a really tearful reunion of how great he loved them so much.
Does the Day of the Doctor, does that mean that the Russell T Davies era didn't happen? No, because it left it in a way that Gallifrey survived, but from the outside and from its point in time, it still got destroyed.
I don't understand how this is relevant to the Doctor not being from Gallifrey.
Because it's the same sort of
thing.
Doesn't
matter.
I feel like we're going round in massive circles and we've still got another fucking series to talk about. Can we just...
That's even worse.
It breaks continuity like the Day of the Doctor reveal, but also doesn't. Like, it changes everything, but fundamentally, does it change the episodes that come before and what happened in them and how you felt watching them? Not really.
No,
but
is Series 6 worse because of the Timeless Children?
Canon, in the sense that the Doctor is categorically, if we consider Timeless Children as canon, which obviously we do, then the Doctor isn't from Gallifrey. They're from this portal that leads to God knows where. The Doctor was the fundamental reason for regeneration and where the Time Lords are nowadays. And I just think having the Doctor being this above and all character is like bizarre, and I don't think it adds anything. Like, when was the last time you sat down with your mate or your relative and just said, Where's the Doctor from then? Where does that portal go? Like, no one bloody cares. Just stick with the law. Well, not even stick to the law. Add to the law, but not have, not disregard the law. It's like, no, the Doctor isn't from Gallifrey. You had it all wrong this whole time. This is what I want to say. This is my creative input to the show. No, the Doctor, you're completely wrong. The Doctor's from this place instead. I think that's wrong. Add to it, not say, no, that was all wrong. This is what my interpretation of the show is. Because Chibnall has done nothing for the future of the show, he's just changed the past. That's why the fugitive Doctor is pre-Hartnell Doctor, because Chibnall wanted to cement his place in the fandom lore by changing what came before, not affecting the future, which is why if Russell doesn't acknowledge the Timeless Children now, it will be a footnote. That's why I really hope Russell actually picks up the bones of it and actually takes it somewhere. Because as you said, the Timeless Children did not end satisfyingly. So what needs to happen now is Russell needs to build on it to actually make it mean something. Because otherwise, it's just a letdown, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I get that a letdown in terms of the way it's handled, but also like if it doesn't get picked up again, then you don't have to worry about it because then it's just like there's this.
But then it's been a waste of 5 years.
Yeah, but
If nothing comes of it, then you don't have to be annoyed by it. Like if it doesn't go anywhere, then
I thought it was handled decently in Series 13. You guys are the ones criticizing how it was handled in Series 13. I like how it was wrapped up in the Vanquishers. Do you know what I mean? But the thing is, if I want this to be built up, I want this to, as you guys wanted it to be done in the 2022 specials, for example. I said this in my Survivors of the Flux review on YouTube. I said I want Russell T Davies to build up on it because Chibnall clearly isn't. Okay, so I really want this to be continued, but Chibnall has done it in such a way that if it isn't, then it just makes the whole last from Series 12 finale, Series 13 completely redundant. Because the Series 13 is fundamentally a story about the Doctor's identity, and if that wasn't wrapped up in a satisfying way, which apparently it wasn't for you guys, then what the hell was the point?
well, no, like if it gets
That's my wrap up.
yeah, like if it gets picked up, it gets picked up. But if it doesn't, I'm not like gonna hold that against anything because if Russell, I wouldn't be surprised if Russell didn't pick it up and carry it on to be tied into the corner of the previous showrunner. Like it's one of those things, and if it's a footnote in the history of Doctor Who, then there is plenty of other stuff that it will be like it can be alongside, like other things that happen that, like the Doctor being half human. Like in 1996, like is a potential to open a door, and that was obviously in the series that was meant to succeed. It would have like been drawn upon more, but it didn't happen. Like I'm not personally satisfied by the whole thing with the watch and being dropped into the center of the TARDIS, and evidently, like you said, it's not being built upon and it's just going to get ignored. But if Russell goes in a completely different direction elsewhere, I'm not going to really be bothered by it because apart from that lingering thread, I can enjoy this era for what it is.
Yeah, and just to build upon that, it's like for this era, I would want Russell T Davies to continue with it in some way, whether it be a spin-off or like just a passing reference to somehow make it coherent. But the way Russell T Davies seems to be going, it seems to be like not really giving a shit about this whole Timeless Children stuff, which I think is going to make this era age poorly. Because let's be Brain and Morbius, really good story. It's got a bit more merit now because of the events of the Timeless Children. Fundamentally, it's an important, quote unquote, important story, but it's kind of been forgotten other ways. Like the resurgence recently because of the Timeless Children. If the Timeless Children is never built upon again, then it's going to become a Brain and Morbius like scenario. But the problem is, and it's a frustrating part of this whole era, is how the Timeless Children takes up so much of it, especially the latter half, and that's why it feels like a waste of time for me. And especially because there's been such long gaps between the series, with so little communication.
Mm.
If that's why this era coming to an end felt like a breath of fresh air, because finally we're having a bit more passion for the show.
Yeah.
Russell T Davies is promoting the fuck out of the show. I'm so excited. The whole Disney Plus deal, that's brilliant. The whole distribution, I think that's so exciting. Like, we're going to get so many new eyes on the show. I think Shuigawa is going to be brilliant. I think his chemistry with Minnie, just from the interviews they've done recently, I think we're in for a treat. And it's just like, what a stark contrast from the last 5 years. And like, as I was watching each episode, I was like, just don't be bad. I was just watching each episode. I was like, okay, last week's episode wasn't too good. Please don't let this episode be bad as well. Now Russell's back, I can just be like, okay, we're gonna get a few stinkers here and there, like we did in Russell T Davies' first era. But they're like, for every one bad episode of that era, you have 5 great ones. You know what I mean?
Mm. Oh,
So
no.
I trust the process effectively.
Yeah,
Trust the process.
I completely agree with what you're saying, and like, if nothing happens with it, I'm not gonna be bothered about it, because I can still enjoy this era without that arc, because it's not really, in the grand scheme of the 31 episodes we have, it features in not very many of them, like, specifically. So
That's what makes the what do you call it? Like, the not connected to the arc stories are so good. For example, Nikola Tesla. That's just a fun episode just to put on and watch. Like Andy said, it's just a fun story. Like, you can check that one on now and not have to worry about the overriding arc. And I think that is one of the absolute benefits of that episode. It's just a really good episode for that reason. That's why I don't particularly think I can watch Ascension and The Timeless Children or Spyfall Part 1, Spyfall Part 2 and get the same enjoyment, because I'll have to think about the other things in terms of like how people criticize Series 6 because of the Wedding of River Song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it all becomes one and people just think the overall experience goes down. And that's how I kind of feel. But the thing is, with Series 6, it's like loosely connected. Like, the Impossible Astronaut, it kind of gets brought up, but then it's kind of ignored. Not ignored, but it's just like a passing reference in each episode, and then you have the finale that kind of wraps up. But you know what I mean? It's just like, yeah, apples and pears.
well, what's our scores for this one? Because we have still one more to do in this
Holy shit,
part.
I've rambled.
So I'd say it's probably for me like a 6 out of 10. Like, I think just in terms of the overall payoff with the other stuff, like, brings the score down. Like, I don't dislike the reveal, I just dislike how it was handled, like, going forward. So I would struggle at the moment after a rewatch to put it higher than a 6.
I give it a 5 to be
to
fair.
be fair.
Or not too far off. It is decent. It's another decent one. Not too many bad episodes in the series. Andy?
Can we come back now?
Yeah,
Are
yeah.
we done?
Why did you go? Why did you stay?
I needed a wee. I'm just gonna put it out there. No, we didn't rant. You rambled. So
No, you guys were on mute. I was just allowed to speak. If you guys actually joined the conversation, I'd speak with you. You guys could speak any time.
I give it a 7. I think it's fine. It's pretty good. Again, I admit, yeah, not a lot happens. It is mostly just the Doctor and the Matrix, but I like the mystery for what it is. I'm annoyed at how it's ended. So as an overall arc, I don't like it, mainly just because of how it's been handled after the fact. But in this episode alone, I think it works. I'm glad Joe Martin made an appearance. It's Chibnall's best finale, which isn't saying much, but it is his best finale. So yeah.
Well, yeah. If you don't count Power of the Doctor, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I like it too. I think it's good. I don't see it as nothing particularly happening, because I get that the Cybermen are dispatched quickly, but I actually really love the idea of the Cyber Masters and how they really do make the eeriness of the Cybermen being familiar to a new era, to like a new level. And yeah, I liked all the explanation that the Doctor got from the Master, so I was listening intently. I love the use of Jo Martin. I think it's her best use in the show. 8 out of 10, anyway.
Nice. Yeah.
Fair
We
enough.
all ended up on the positive side.
Revolution of the Daleks to wrap up this this controversial run of
I
episodes.
will die on the hill that Revolution is great.
Ooh.
Mm.
It's the best of the trilogy.
Worst for me.
Why?
I think it's just basic cheesy blockbuster fodder, and on the face of it means nothing. Like, I like Resolution because it does some different stuff. I like Eve mainly because I think after watching fucking The Vanquishers, anything, like, you could have put Chris Chibnall having a shit for an hour and I probably would have enjoyed that a lot. But I like the time aspect of it and the time loop and the shrinking of that. I just found with this, I think, like, John Barrowman aside, because at that time, like, that was not in the equation, I just think that him being in it is just to give that speech to Yaz about leaving the Doctor, and the reason why Ryan and Graham leave is a bit sort of meh, and I don't really feel anything when they do. I think the reconnaissance design is wasted and should have been used more.
But it's just like,
I love that, the sort of the black design. I think it's really neat.
And then it's like, let's blow it up and just get the bronze ones back in. And just, I think Jack Robertson's quite, like, this is, out of the 2 episodes he's in, this is, I'm not a fan of him in this. It's just, like, it's more Trump with less fucking behind it. Like, and, like, stuff like, well, the Daleks can't know I'm here, so let me just land on top of this fucking bridge right in front of them as they're flying in and hope they're looking the other way. Like, it's just stuff like that. And
Guys, is it my headphones or is George's connection pretty bad?
It was a bit glitchy there.
hello.
Might we have to go to Discord? Mike's nemesis.
I mean, that was a fucking thing in itself, trying to do Discord. But yeah. What are your guys? I would say for me, it's like a 6. Like, it's okay. Like, I can watch it and I can enjoy it to a level, but it's just not, like, it's not all there for me.
George,
Yeah,
I would praise it more than you, and I'd give it a lower rating than you. That's a high rating for what you just said about it.
Well, it's above average, so I gave it an above average score.
Fair enough. Mike?
Yeah, I agree with parts from what both of you have said, in that I think it's the weakest of the 3 Dalek stories for me now, looking back and having rewatched it. But it is still good. Like, I'll just spoil it now and say that I would still give it an 8 out of 10. But unfortunately, it's just watching it back, there's a couple of glaring things. First of all, I know Doctor Who can always be political and can do it really well, but the whole female prime minister, strong and stable leadership type thing has aged terribly already.
Oh, it was very Theresa May, that wasn't it?
Exactly. And I was like, oh, that's not just on the nose, that's ridiculously like, oh, come on. And it's so stupid because it didn't bother me at all, but it's been drummed into me so much by haters that it's like, yes, I now am officially bothered about killing off a TARDIS, because fuck it, if you haven't just made me care by drilling it into me endlessly. So, okay, I'll miss it a point for that then, I guess. But yeah, 8 out of 10.
I give it a 9. I feel like I'm really being generous to it. I love this one. It's my favourite of the trilogy. But I want to clarify. I want to clarify that I think all 3 of the Dalek specials are actually really good.
Yeah,
like I don't dislike any of them. This is just my personal favourite. It's just that it does a lot that I really like. Like, I personally have never had a problem with the part with the Daleks going into the other TARDIS. Like, I think that's actually a pretty smart resolution for the problem, really. Like, I like the way the plot threads are tied up. The idea of having the Daleks come in to take care of these I think that was really smart, having them come in and do basically pest control, because there's nothing they hate more than impure Daleks, and then getting rid of those Daleks by using the decoy TARDIS. Like, I thought that was a really smart idea, honestly.
But the TARDIS
Jack
is alive,
Robinson,
Andy.
Jack Robinson, whatever. I don't like him, but, like, whatever. The Jack stuff outside of the context of obviously everything that came to light about John Barrowman is he's fine in the episode. He's quite fun to have around. At the time, I was quite happy to see him, but obviously in hindsight, I'm a bit more like,
I
maybe not
think
the best.
you could have lost him after the prison escape, frankly, and it wouldn't have affected the episode.
Yeah, that's fair. I think his main highlight is the prison escape bit. But yeah, I just think it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it, and that shot of Jodie hanging out of the TARDIS with all of the Daleks around is possibly the single most beautiful shot in this entire era. It's such a good shot. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoy it. I do understand the criticisms. One thing I've never understood is how that Dalek escaped, and then all of a sudden in Tokyo there was an entire farm of Dalek mutants. That is a big, big gripe for me, and that's probably where it loses the point because that makes no sense. But outside of that, I thoroughly enjoy it. Honestly.
Okay.
I know. I will die on this hill that Revolution of the Daleks is really great. But I do understand everyone else's criticisms of it.
Yeah.
Go on, Will.
Yeah, to be fair, I actually disagree. Shut up, Mike. No. To be fair, I disagree with your criticisms because I actually think they're positives. Like, I think Jack Robertson, which is bad to say because both of those actors are, offenders, but I thought the political. Actually, can I just read my review? I do have it up on Letterboxd. I did a really thorough review of it, and I just weighed the pros and cons of it. Can I go for it? You guys opposed? So it's quite a positive view, to be fair. The political triangle this episode establishes on is terrific, relatable, and I liked this. I liked how this ultimately played into the Robertson and Leo's later interactions. This, alongside the sharp direction and ambient score, for better or for worse, shows that there were attempts of making this something larger than Doctor Who. So just political message, I guess. The sequences on the prison ship are good, with a real feel of claustrophobia and repetitiveness, because of course the Doctor had been there for a long time, so it's an uphill battle of making the audience feel that. It's a shame that this is almost completely forgotten when the Doctor returns to Earth. Any further exploration into the Doctor's dejected nature steers towards the revelations of the prior series finale, The Timeless Children, of course, and even then the task is half given to Tosin Cole, who is not exactly the best actor in the world, because of course the Doctor and Tosin have that interaction about the Doctor's feelings in this episode. The Doctor and Captain Jack escape the prison in a terrible CGI bubble. I can forgive the easy nature of the escape because such escapes have been ever present in Doctor Who, and it did take Jack almost 2 decades to execute that escape, so it does work. In retrospect, and this paragraph I read just a few minutes ago and I thought, I said that. In retrospect, Yaz is terrifically written here, in brackets, thank God. I had originally praised the character building nature of this episode, but more so in the scene with Yaz and Jack together. Since the bad Eve of the Daleks, I've got a newfound appreciation for the groundwork that was perhaps being intentionally laid in this episode. There were also several moments that could be considered foreshadowing, as the episode explicitly made a point of. The lens flares when the TARDIS materializes back on Earth is god awful, though.
I've watched J.J. Abrams' Star Trek movies. That's nothing.
I know. It was egregious, though, when it lands back. The episode then began to drag quite a bit, which I didn't actually care about in the first time because I didn't really notice it. But then people's main criticism was it was a bit boring. But then I kind of got that on my rewatch. I had little care about the 3D printing plotline that they had going on, like the public reveal of the drones as well, or the terribly timed comedy put on the shoulders of Jack Robertson. The bridge scene being filmed in Bristol was a big bonus. Of course, I come from Bristol. So
I said that earlier. I said he was going to say that.
We did say that because Andy said something similar about the crane in The Woman Who Fell to Earth.
Oh, of course, yeah. I mean, that was a nice scene as well, to be fair. Plus, I said the Jack Robertson betrayal stuff added absolutely nothing. Come to think of it, it truly didn't. He went on board the ship, which never should have happened because the Dalek should have exterminated him anyway. He talked nonsense. wandered about. He got saved, and when it came back to him explaining himself, he said that he was undercover and took the credit for the defeat of the Daleks. That's his story. Great.
Yeah. And Carrie should have ended up with Aiden anyway, so, you know.
True. Yeah. And we touched
You
upon it
do
earlier.
not know what I'm talking about, Will.
I know. I'm just agreeing with you. And you,
Sex and
you,
the
tou-
City reference.
you touched upon it earlier about the sentient TARDIS, but it says about that
Hmm.
the Doctor defeating the Daleks by destroying a sentient TARDIS was pretty grim as well. The Doctor expositioning it off. The Doctor expositioning of her programming of the TARDIS to fold in on itself and to fly to the heart of the void to be destroyed with a smug smile on her face felt very out of character since the love she has for the TARDIS, albeit not her TARDIS, whatever that means. It did feel very anticlimactic too, and the Bronze Daleks were there to destroy the impure Daleks, of which they said they had destroyed them all. Had they forgotten all of the SAS Daleks on Earth? What was the point in the Doctor summoning the Bronze Daleks to do the work that the Doctor ultimately did on a larger scale with the SAS Daleks herself? So I thought the Bronze Daleks were completely redundant. Anyway, the ending, one of the best companion exits, everything from and including the hug was nice. The dialogueless cameo of Ruth played out exactly how I would have liked. I thought it was a massive missed opportunity to not have the silhouette of the Doctor from the woman who fell to Earth, in fact, be a future, now present, as of 2021, but technically past at the time of watching this version of the Doctor, who had just seen them depart from her, because I thought that could be a nice tie together. Regardless, it was a nice sequence of events. It's a mixed bag, one of the most competent and enjoyable efforts from Chibnall when writing his companions. It's a shame that it wasn't all hits. It's rewatchable in that sense, but the pacing issues does make any further rewatches for enjoyment less desirable. I like it, but now I can understand the mixed reception it has received, and I give it a 5 out of 10. I do like it. And it was a pretty mixed review. I started with the positives, went on to the negatives, but just remember, I do like a lot of that episode. And on the first watch, we all gave it an 8 out of 10. I remember we reviewed it and we're like 8, and it's like, wow, that makes a change. I still like it.
What was the averages for everyone and their top 3 for Series 12 brackets?
Average came through at 7 out of 10 for Series 12, which I think the low lows really dragged down the high highs. My top 3 stories are Can You Hear Me? Sorry. Ascension of the Cybermen and The Timeless Children. Again, sorry. And my worst story was Praxius. Andy.
Overall, 67% for the series. Top 3 stories are Fugitive of the Judoon in 3rd, Revolution of the Daleks in 2nd, Haunting of Villa Diodati in 1st, and my least favourite episode was Spyfall Part 2.
Fair enough. Will?
I think, just historically speaking, my average is just slightly higher than Series 11. So let's just say 50% accuracy. My top 3 episodes would be, I'm just looking at this now, probably Spyfall Part 1, Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror, and Ascension of the Cybermen. And my least favorite would be, sorry, Mike, can you hear me?
Can you hear me? Of course.
Although Orphan 55 is a close second.
I would say my top 3 would be Haunting of Villa Diodati, Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror, and probably be Ascension. I think, yeah. And my least favourite is By a Country Mile is Orphan 55. But yeah, that was Series 12 brackets. Come back next time for the final conclusion bit.